I'm about to play some shit no one here knows. No one in here knows this thing. I'm playing that shit you never heard of before. I'm playing that new shit. That smooth shit. That unreleased groove shit.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Girl, come fuck this money. All these fucking hoes, all these fucking hoes. I'm fucking all these hoes, you my main hoe. Roll me a steno, smoking out the Lambo. Scotto white hoe, just like Coca, but that ass is soft though. Got this lean up in my cup, nigga, like fuck a cough though. See a nigga slipping with it, we gon' have to cop those. Got two blind hoes in my condo, sucking on the bottle card. If she bought it, I see if she swallow. Got a 100 band jug, 100 band jug, 100 band jug. I just fuck this band up. I be flexed up, call me Cardi bands up. Two phones, I'm a dance up.
Wouldn't you like to know the name of this song? Wouldn't you like to know the name of this song? Yeah, if your waist is over 30, you can't play this. That's a fact. We're on a tiny waist gang out here, man. That's what I'm on right now. I'm trying to work it down. Before it was like, how big can I make my waist? Like, how big waist jeans can I wear? Now it's how small can I make them? Apparently, that's what the youngins have switched to. I don't know. I don't know too much about too much. But welcome back to the stream, man. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? How are you all living? Do I look tired? Because I definitely am. I'm definitely tired, but I gotta just call a spade before we get all these stragglers joining the stream. That, bro, we're just, I don't know. If you're in the pit, I feel like we're really just, look, there's no victory laps happening, and I'm gonna be completely honest, is my execution has been rough. Sloppy execution all over the place. Sloppy execution all over the place. But you can't look me in the eyes and tell me we're not binking right now. You cannot. You can't look me in the eyes and we're not binking shit right now. You can't. You cannot. So if you're in a pit, shout out the fucking pit. Even down to the Farcoin short, Eli's, wherever he's at. Fucking lit. That was a sick one. And so, yeah, at some point they're going to be talking about the pit. And it's not going to be Brad. I'm just going to say that. We have a special stream today. We have a good stream today. We have a lot to talk about today. We have two guests, one call-in, one serious. Well, not that the first guy isn't serious, but he's just a call-in, like, respect. I mean, I guess they're both technically call-ins, but, like, he's like all right, one guest has a time limit, one guest doesn't. How about that? And first guest is going to be Merp. I think it's Merp, who's a really sharp crypto guy. He's been trading oil. I guess oils, all the oil. And he's going to come on and he's going to give us like a real quick primer on how these future, how do I join a pit? Wouldn't you like to know? What do you like to know? I don't know if I'm going to drop an invite today. I might not. You're early though. Yeah, fuck it. You're early. Someone, DNAP, drop the invite if you can. So he's going to come on at 4:30 and he's going to talk about, nice ass shirt. Thanks, bro. How'd you just find me? Where'd you find me from? He's going to come on and talk about how the rollover shit works with future contracts on oil, because I feel like we should know how this works if we're trading stuff on Hyperliquid, and I just don't. So he's going to come on 15 minutes max and explain how this works, and then I'm going to kick him off, and then we're going to finish what we have to finish talking about, and then we are going to bring on 19 in college. Welcome, brother. Then we're going to bring on Rory Johnston, who I believe to be one of the sharpest thinkers in oil. That's a crazy sentence. One of the sharpest thinkers in oil. He's one of the sharpest oil thinkers. One of the oil sharps. Okay? And he's like a big time guest. Hard to get. He was sick yesterday, so everybody wish him well. I hope he comes. I believe he's going to come, and we're going to talk to him about a lot of the stuff I don't. Be honest, step that in the oil. Kano, you're good. I'm not going to lie. Dude, I was so pissed that it was going down. I didn't feel like it should. I took my fucking stop loss off. And then now I'm back in the green. I did some dumb shit. I'll explain what I did for both. But I have 2 trades to talk about. And so Rory's going to come on. And the thing Rory can do really well is he's going to be able to talk to us about like the supply chain, how historical energy crises, what they look like, how they like. We're not going to talk trade. I don't think so much as we're going to talk about like how does this shit work. So that is going to be what we talk about. What happened to Zcash? I'll get there, brother. I get there. Hold on. Also, somebody asked, did I perm my hair? No, this is natty. This is full blown natty. This is just what I look like. Natty. I got a little like mousse in there, just a little bit, just to like keep it. Cause I washed my hair for the first time in like 4 days. I shampooed my hair for the first time in like 4 days. And so I do take hair pills every day. And I did put like a little like curl juice in there just because like the shampoo makes it like fluffy and gay, you know? So I had to like put a little curl juice in there. And watch some old videos of blonde hair like nasty. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Basics easy, leave in. I don't know what that means. And we have a new tweet. We didn't even get chat, but give me a second to just breathe here before we can talk about fucking Pete Hegseth. Let me talk to the chat before we like get into the crazy stuff. How often do y'all wash your hair? Be honest. I was washing my hair every day. I think that's part of the reason it was falling out. I was washing it every day, bro. I was washing it every day. You take hair pills with soap. Sorry. No, read it. I wash my hair every day, but I'm saying with soap. With soap. Not water. I'm saying with soap. How often do you put soap in your hair? Because I now wash my not since middle school. Jesus, dog, that's disgusting. I was doing with soap every day. And I completely stopped. And I now wash my hair every day with water. And I soap like once a week. Maybe twice. I probably soap every like 5 days. And I've had since I only started washing my hair once every 5 days, I've had like a new look on life. Because, dude, the more I washed it, the nastier it got. I wash it every day with water, and I condition it hella. I put hella conditioner in, and I stop washing it. If you put too much soap, it gets worse. Same with your face. You wash your face too much, it gets worse. And so I've almost had like a new outlook on life since I stopped soaping my hair so much. I feel better. I'm like flirting more. I'm going on more dates. Like my life has just been like noticeably better since I stopped washing my hair. So I wanted to just call that out and tell you all what it is. All right, we have a lot to talk about today. First of all, oil, they're doing some absolute fuckery on oil right now. We're going to talk about it. Yeah, these shadows don't know the method. Of course not. But like, what do you expect? It's like, basically oil is crazy right now. Market is insane. Stocks are about to close. Donald Trump is promoting steak. And Zcash just put in one of the craziest candles I've seen in a long time. And am I tilted? Yeah, a little bit. Like, of course, I'm a little tilted. It was still a good trade. We still banked it. Not that many people on Twitter banked it. We banked it. I think, chat, who here banked Zcash? Who in the chat banked that? I want to do a check real quick. I'm not going to talk about it yet, but who banked it? Did you see Melania's speech? Thankfully, no. Viblet banked it. Nice. Did anyone bank? Sold all on 300. Not bad. Wow. A good amount of people hit that. Wow. Nice. Nice. Congratulations if you did. Long from 235 still holding. That's a fucking zinger. I was on track to, oh my god, I was on track to hit one of my biggest trades ever. But you got to listen to the market. You got to listen to the market. But all right, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to get into. I have a bunch of guests. I'm fucking off to a slow start. I'm super late. I'm all over the place, but it's going to be a good stream. And I'm just gonna say this before I do roll call, before I do anything. Cryptocurrency looks the best. As one of, I think, someone that flipped really bearish on crypto. I didn't flip early, but I flipped hard. And I just completely was like, I'm uninterested. Completely, fundamentally uninterested as an asset class. I was uninterested for the last 3 months, 4 months, whatever. I'm declaring right now, crypto is interesting again. threadguy declares crypto is interesting again. Right here, right now. 1,000%. 1,000% is interesting again. In a bunch of spots. It's trading nice. It looks nice. There's a lot to talk about. I'm excited with crypto again for the first time, and it fucking feels good. It fucking feels good. The minute you said that, the Bitcoin starts going down, it feels good. We're going to have to get through some fuckery here. We got to get through war. We got to get through war. And so it's hard to do any real size, position, flip-flop either direction. This is why I got fucking cooked out of Zcash, right? Like, it's hard. I don't know. It's hard to, like, make any hard decisions either direction, positioning wise, until this fucking war is over. But crypto looks good. threadguy declares it. Let's start the stream. Rocco! Joey, what's good? Recto, what's good? Love your face. 727, I love your face, baby. Vibble, what's good? Sparky, what's good? Jackson Ray, Pipe Bomb, Kevin, Seth, Live the Life TV, Chunky Nuts. Dubby, what's good? Art Mommy, Hidden Character, what's good? Tom Brady, what's good? Rectal, what's good? Wow. Zara, what's good? Gorilla, what's good? Kenny, what's good? FWD, what's good? Poca, what's good? Booty Watcher, what's good? Anita, what's good? Captain, what's good? Pre-Rich, Lattice, what's good? I say your name different every day. Fries, House, Sax, what's good? What's good? And one ref, what's good? Darlo, what's good? I always skip you. It's hard to see your name, bro. Jazz Lad, Crypto. You got to understand from my perspective, the names are moving fast. So if you have like a confusing ass name with like a bunch of letters, it's hard to fucking read it, dog. It's hard to read it. Also, yeah, where is Spy Puts? I told his brother yesterday if he changed his shit to Spy Calls, he would come back tomorrow and be the most popular guy in the entire chat. Where is it? He should have done it. Cats, what's good? He should have done it. I said if you change your name to Spy Calls, you would be that guy. And he didn't do it. So, all right, we have about 30 minutes until Merp comes on. And that means I have to fucking actually lock in and focus and cover some important stuff. So we have a couple minutes till market close, 1 minute to be exact. First and foremost, Trump posted a steak ad, brother. I don't even know what to say. If you needed, Base 16Z wrote an article about this. He called it Loot and Rob. He called it Loot and Rob, okay? And the premise, as I've now explained to basically every guest that comes on the stream, is that the elite in America are grasping to take as much from humanly possible, aka looting the great empire of America as fast as possible and running for the fucking ever-loving hills. And if they're doing it, you should probably be doing it too, because yeah, this is real. This is somehow real. That Donald, and look, I understand that Trump is good friends with Dana White. I understand that Steak sponsors the UFC, and I also understand the UFC is doing an event at the White House. Okay, but the president of the United States just posted a Steak ad, which is unreal, hard to process what exactly that means. And the thing about this is someone asked me, how much do you think he got paid? The craziest part is I don't think he got paid, brother. I think it's just purely for the love of the game, which is unreal. I don't think he got paid. Seriously, I do not. I don't think he got paid. I think this is just purely love of the game. Love of the game. He just did it just because he could, is what I think. I don't think he got paid. I mean, there's no amount of money they could have given him that would have made sense. There's no amount of money they could have given him that justified doing this. And so I think the intern just put it on. He said, fuck it. I'm putting it. I don't think he got paid. I really don't. I think this is purely love of the game. Purely love of the game. He didn't really care. And the president of the United States, I mean, this is dark. This is just dark. This is dark, but you have to see this and understand this because this is where we're headed. This is just, you just have to see it for culturally where the United States of America is headed. It's very important. It's very important you look at this with your two eyes and just accept it for what it is. Okay, look at it, digest it, get over it, and figure out how to trade it, in my opinion. And so my take on this is in a scenario, in an outcome, in a universe where the president is promoting stake online casino, you should probably generally be holding risk assets. Sounds right to me. Probably should be holding risk, in my opinion. But it is what it is. I think that's the obvious takeaway here, other than just kind of funny and a little bit dark. That's number one. Number two, stake top, probably not, unfortunately. Number two, what did I want to play? Number two is a tone setter. This is pretty cool. Tone setter real quick, just because I think it's cool and I wanted to show you. Is, do you all have that vid where the dude in Valorant shoots some other dude with a sniper rifle, and after the clip, there's a compilation of vid on how data transfers through a network? Has nothing to do with stream, but watch. That was awesome. Shout out to Valorant. Dog shit game. Very, very bad game. I want to call this one out too, because there's been a bunch of posts that you reach Unk. Come on, bro. You ever be gaming? I just play sports games for real. I play like I play new Madden when it comes out. I play FIFA every year. First time in Twitch chat. Welcome, bro. Welcome. You should stay here, man. It's good for the numbers, man. Basically, every year FIFA comes out, I go straight. I play online seasons solo up until Division 1, and then I just quit. Every year. I do it every year. It's the only time I play. I get to Division 1, and then I quit. That's basically, I don't really game anymore. I think gaming is pretty watched. Still playing Pokopia? No, I'm not. I am that guy in FIFA, by the way. Also, I want to call this one out real quick before we do market close. Is so I talked about this yesterday. What top on podcast, right? I actually didn't watch the clip. The urge to pod cannot be denied. The tech VCs in David Rubenstein are richer. Rubenstein, I don't even know who this is. Are richer than God. What do they want to do in their enormously valuable spare time? Fire up a mic in pod. What does Jamie Dimon want to do after JP Morgan? Start a media company, i.e. pod again. RFK is in charge of all government health policy. What does he want to do with that power? Pod about it. And this fellow who I really want to get on the stream, Will, says, posting is the end state. It's the treasure that awaited Alexander at the end of his conquest. It's all that's left for man after gaining the world. It's all there is at the very end of it all. Celebrities, billionaires, industrialists, scholars, all wind up as the humble poster. Before I move on, before we do market close, I just want to say that I genuinely believe my calling in life. I'm going to say this. It's going to sound ridiculous. I mean it wholeheartedly, that I genuinely believe my calling on life is tweeting. I really do. Like someone made a post today and they said, when you made it all in crypto, you're richer than you could ever have imagined. Everything's solved. All bills are paid for forever. Family's paid off. Everyone's paid off. What are you going to do for the rest of your life? And my answer was, I'm probably going to talk shit on Twitter. Probably. To me, I will, there is no pastime on this earth better than writing your thoughts on Twitter. I really believe it. I actually really believe it. There is no pastime in this world better than just writing and posting on the internet. Nothing else. And it's pretty insane to see basically every powerful person come to this exact same conclusion. So that's all I have for the intro today. I just watched your It's Been a While stream on your tube, and you said it was to tell the untold stories of CT. Yeah, that's part of my mission is to platform those stories of finance that just get lost. Like if you don't spend 14 hours a day doing what we do all day, these things just get lost completely. And it's such a damn shame, you know? Like how many people, if properly presented the story of pee pee poo poo, would be fascinated to read and learn about it? I would bet you a lot more than the 30 or 40,000 people that follow him on Twitter. I would bet you a lot more than that, but it's impossible. You can't find it. It's too confusing. It's too scattered. There's no hub for it. And so that's part of what the goal is with the stream. But anyways, that's our intro for today. We have a lot to cover. Markets closed. Let's talk about it right now. Also, that's like a mythical pull stream. Why were you watching that? I was in a dark place when that stream came out. I'm just going to let you know. I was in a dark fucking place when that stream got posted. God damn, Zcash is $374 fucking dollars, man. Dude, I'm trying to think of how much I would be up on top if I held this position. I don't even know. A lot. I mean, I made a lot on it, but holy Lord. Holy fucking Lord, it would be a lot. But anyways, market just closed, and today's a ridiculous paper hand suck my dick. Today was kind of a crazy day. Because yesterday ends with ceasefire is broken, ceasefire is not real. Okay. And then today we get some coverage on Israel is willing to concede on the Lebanon situation and cooperate and maybe get us to a ceasefire, which dumped oil in like, okay, this is basically the framing before I do market close. Is Trump comes out 2 days ago, he announces a ceasefire. There's an official ceasefire. War is over, or at least war is paused. Market rallies. The next day, yesterday, they come out and Israel is striking Lebanon. Iran is also getting hit. Iran comes out and says there is no ceasefire. In fact, we are not even close. Market doesn't go down. Basically flat. And then today, there's discussion that we might come to a ceasefire at some point in the near future, and stocks go higher than when 2 days ago an official ceasefire was announced. AIDS, completely AIDS. Like, what? We're higher on the news that we might have a ceasefire after the ceasefire is broken than we were when we thought there was an official ceasefire. And so that, just for like painting the picture context, that's where we are right now. Okay. SPY up 0.6% on the day. Insane. Chart actually looks decent now on the daily. Look at this. I mean, we're like 2-3% off ATH now. 2.6% off ATH. Insane that this is the case, but it is. This is the market that we have, and it's the only market we can trade. So that Q's up 0.6. Software, horrible. Okay, horrible, down 4%. Software is disgusting. And so that's the one thing is like, even though S&P is, a couple percent off ATH, there isn't that many places to hide right now. Software just getting caked. Okay, and then the Dow was pretty green today, up 0.5%. NASDAQ up about 1%. We'll do crypto last. Energy kind of got crushed. All things considered. Oil's up a little bit, right? Crude on here is up 5. Brent is up like 4, but it was up a lot more this morning. Exxon and Chevron down about 1% each. Palantir, absolute smoke. Like I do this yesterday. Look at the daily. I do this yesterday. Absolute smoked. Palantir looks terrible. And on the back end of the software, it's on 7.5%. It's disgusting. Is anyone in Palantir? Not great. All our chemical fertilizer stocks are down. Individual names. Some of these are gross. SanDisk up 9. Amazon up 5.6. Chris Camillo gapping up. Intel up 5. Micron up 4. Netflix up 3. Netflix was called in here pretty aggressively. I don't think Spicy People took the trade, but he did call it pretty aggressively in this chat, which is cool. Meta up 2.6 and starting to look pretty solid after the model announcement. Nvidia up 1%. Tesla stuck in the shaft in lost shaft support here. But on a serious note on Tesla, I don't know. You know how I feel about Tesla. Up about 1%. Apple up about 1%. Google up about 0.5%. Individual names that we care about, there are not many. Circle down 10. Chart is starting to look pretty horrid. DraftKings down 7. Chart definitely does look horrid officially. Figma every day finds a new way to go down 5 additional percent. I mean, this is just like unreal. What else do we care about? DoorDash 4. Coinbase down 3.5. Hood down 3. Pretty ugly chart from Robinhood. On the green side, Snap looks good. $5, up 5%. Nike, horrible, but up 2%. Hims, up 1.8%. Not bad. And basically nothing else that we care about. MicroStrategy's up 0.5%. Pretty weak. And really nothing else that we care about. PayPal, nah, don't care. Now, what you're all waiting for. Cryptocurrency looks insane. First and foremost, stretch over 100. What do we got? 2,028 Bitcoin today. Oh my God. Dude. Oh. Hey, we're not there yet. 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 Stretch. 2,000 Bitcoin. 100K over under fumble. Probably close to that. I think. Yeah. Probably about that. I think like about that. Yeah. That sounds, I think that's like ballpark. Ballpark, give or take like 25 other direction, maybe. Yeah. Oh, fuck. All right, we'll get to it in a second. Expensive ass 24 hours is right. We'll get to it in a second. I think about that. Yeah, about that. All right, we'll get there. But about that, I think. I could do math on it, but why? I don't really want to do the exact math. Stretch has bought 2,000 Bitcoin today. 2,000 times 7,200. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 14 million. No. 140 million. I was about to say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 144 million today. It's insane. There's a lot of demand to buy this fucking product. Bitcoin 7,200. It looks insane. It really does. It really looks good. I mean, look at now. I don't want to draw it, but like, you know, it does have a little bit of a kind of like a little like a going here. I don't really want to be the guy to do it, so I'll just delete it and pretend like I didn't do that. But Bitcoin looks insane. God, I don't want to read Zcash. I don't want to do it. Tau, decent. Gold, 47.70. Looks really good. ETH, looks good. Crazy. 22.20. XMR, 343. Looks pretty good. Solana, awful. Just the worst. Silver, almost 76. Looks really good. Hyperliquid, almost 40. Looks great. VIX, down 8%. And, oh my lord. Oh my fucking fuck. In God. Wow. I mean, I'm in a new trade on it. I had to, right? It's small. Because what are you supposed to do? I'm in a new trade on it, and it's up like 30%. This is unfathomable, really, where we're at here on Zcash. Volume breakout too, right? It's putting volume it hasn't done since like February. I mean, this is a absolute monster. And so I don't know. Can you say I fumbled? I hit a plus 50%er on a pretty good Beasties. Thanks for the gifted. Okay, I hit plus 50% of Zcash on a pretty good trade. Okay, when I initially stabbed this thing like here, took a small drawdown. Let me go smaller time frame. I stabbed it like here, took a small drawdown, wasn't ready, and then I stabbed it like here. And no, not 50% on 200K. No. I made a lot, but not that much. I stabbed it here, held. Peter Schiff comes on stream right when he gets off. I stab again here, 315, and I'm like, all of a sudden is like a really big trade. And then it starts looking great. 338. There's obviously sophisticated buyers stepping in on this thing, right? This candle doesn't make sense. But then on this trio of red candles, I was so geeked about my entry and I was building this into a fucking monster. And on these 3 candles, bro, they come out and they're like, Israel's fucking bombing Lebanon. And I'm just like, bro, Iran comes out and it's like the ceasefire is I'm just like, bro, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And so I sold. I sold at like 328 right here completely. I'm just like, you got to listen. The market's like, get the fuck out. So I got out. And it was a nice trade. The reason I'm tilted about it a little bit today is, it's up. I mean, it'd be up double what I made, and I made a lot. But the reason I'm a little tilted about it is because there was obviously, to me at least, I mean, I don't know if anyone here traded it because I was talking about it in the pit. If you did, that's fucking awesome. But the reason I sold, or the reason I bought, and I'm a little bit annoyed, is because there was obviously some like insider irregular activity happening on this chart. They're just they're just so obviously clearly was. Like the buying didn't make sense. I mean, look at it right now. It didn't make sense. It didn't make any sense what was happening. So I fucking, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a bitch or what. Like, I don't know. It was a really good trade. I'm happy with the trade, but I just like, there's no way to control being long risk and then Trump announcing a fake ceasefire. How do you price that into your trade calculation? You literally, you cannot. You actually cannot. There's no way to price that in. Oh, it was a fake ceasefire. There's just like no way to do it. So I took another, whatever. It is what it is. I took another little stab. I have another little entry open at like 350 something, like right here. And we'll just see. I would love to add to it. It's terrifying to add to it because we are in the middle of a fucking war. But that is what it is. The other thing I'm in right now is just the most miserable trade of all time is this fucking garbage, which we're going to have somebody come on in like 11 minutes and talk about how these oil futures work. This is just an unreal trade, but we basically had this crazy dump on news that Israel was willing to discuss negotiations with Lebanon to stop. And so here's a few updates on where we're at. We're going to get the real. Did you have a stop loss at 93.5? I did, and I fucking pulled it like a retard. And I've kind of gotten bailed out, but I have it again. I put it back. It was kind of dumb, but I put it back. It was a little bit retarded, but dude, I'm just like watching the oil chart, and I'm like, I know I don't want to be in this thing again, and it drives me crazy. But I'm like watching the headline it's dumping on, and I'm just like, bro, this is like, no, it's wrong. It's just wrong. I'm just like, it's wrong. And so trading oil is definitely hard mode. But we'll talk about it a little bit more very soon. But so here's basically where we're at with war. A couple announcements. One, Trump schizo freak out on NATO. NATO wasn't there when we needed them, and they won't be there if we need them again. Remember Greenland, that big, poorly run piece of ice. President DJT. There's this, which is basically no oil tankers have made it. I believe one non-Iranian tanker has made it through since the ceasefire was broken.
Mr. Vice President, Iran is continuing to block the Straits of Hormuz. Do you have an expectation of when that strait is going to be opened?
Well, we've already seen an increase in traffic today. Hopefully we'll see an increase in traffic tomorrow.
They have no fucking, they have no fucking idea.
We actually think that we are seeing signs that the Straits is starting to reopen. I think you guys are probably seeing oil prices have come down, so I think the oil markets, the gas markets are seeing the same thing. But the president's been very, very clear. The deal is a ceasefire, a negotiation. That's what we give. And what they give is the Straits are going to be reopened. If we don't see that happening, the president is not going to abide by our terms if the Iranians are not abiding by their terms.
Mr. Vice President, Iran is continuing to block.
I mean, they have no clue. Finally, I've been holding that season for 2 days. So there's this. Then there's not even actually. There's this, which is such a crazy one. What a bitch sneeze. What do you mean a bitch sneeze? What does that even mean, a bitch sneeze? That was a man-ass sneeze. That was a man-ass, loud-ass sneeze. What the fuck you mean a bitch sneeze? It's like, what? Who? So then he says this, which is like, yeah, I know Zcash is insane. Unreal. We got to get to these headlines, though. So you tell me what you think about this. Probably the most important post of the day, in my opinion, which is the failing New York Times and fake CNN each reported a totally fake 10-point plan on the Iran negotiations, which was meant to discredit the people involved in the peace process. All 10 points were a made-up hoax. Evil losers make America great again. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that they reported a fake ceasefire, 10 points? Or do you think there just never was a real 10 points? I'm going to go with the latter. You're welcome to pick a different option, but I'm going to go with there was never a ceasefire in the first place. I find it hard to believe the New York Times and CNN, look, I know that they're pretty anti, but they just made up the 10 points. Like, where did they get it from? Seriously, where did they get it from? I don't know. Where did they get it from? What actually happened, which we talked about the other day, is that the U.S. comes out and announces that there is a ceasefire agreement, which is just blatantly false. And 3 of the points, which the U.S. would have never agreed upon, somehow were agreed upon, which made absolutely no sense. It made absolutely no sense. None. And we rally on that, which is like so ridiculous to me, but it is what it is. Then there's this. This is basically where we're at now. 1, Lebanon wants a ceasefire before talks with Israel. That sounds reasonable. 2, no major Israeli expectations for success in negotiations with Lebanon. We could skip that. 4 is New York Times now reported the White House was directly involved in drafting that message that was edited. Makes sense. 5, Netanyahu, there is no ceasefire in Lebanon. 6, the Kuwait defense, as we are currently dealing with attacks from drones that breached the country's airspace and targeted some vital facilities. And then 7 is Parliament Speaker of Iran. Time is running out. 1, Lebanon and the entire resistance axis as Iran's allies form an inseparable part of the ceasefire. 2, PM publicly and clearly stressed the Lebanon issue. There's no room for denial and backtracking. 3, ceasefire violations carry explicit costs and strong responses. Extinguish the fire immediately. And so, as much as you and I both probably wish that this was just over, it's not. There is no ceasefire. I believe that Trump and or Vance and or Netanyahu, I don't know exactly, are meeting in Pakistan on Saturday to try to negotiate. No way. Okay, I think just Vance. To try and negotiate on a ceasefire that we just do not have right now. And so one thing, Luke, tell him 2 minutes. I'm going to get up real quick and we'll bring him on. One thing that is very clear to me, there's two things that are clear to me, because we're not going to spend all day mulling on announcements today. I want to talk about fucking these future contracts so we can understand them. You should know about this. He's going to be on 2 minutes. I want to talk to Rory Johnston, the oil expert, and I want to talk about crypto. We're not going to just talk about the war the whole day today. Two things are very just blatantly clear to me about this war. And I think there are only two things that matter. One, Trump desperately wants out. I think there's no denying that. Trump desperately wants out. And two, the market doesn't want to go down. It wants to go up. Period. It just wants to go up. We're higher today on the S&P, on the announcement in the news that there will be ceasefire discussions again than we were when a ceasefire was announced. It's kind of blatant. And so, would you be able to declare me retarded for being in the oil long at this moment, knowing those two facts? Yes. But at the same time, we also bink the Zcash trade because that's what we do. So sometimes you got to do retarded stuff that looks retarded and it's not retarded. But those two things are very blatantly clear to me. Trump wants out. Trump wants the fuck out. And the market wants to go up. It's just there's no other way to frame it. So, all right. I'm going to get up for 30 seconds. When I come back, we're going to be on stream with Merp for 15 minutes max. He's going to explain how these commodity future rollover contracts work on Hyperliquid. Anyone that's trading should sit the fuck down and listen to this. Okay? Sit down, shut up, listen to it. It's important. I didn't even know how it works, and I'm trading it, so it's really for me, not for you, but hopefully you get something out of it. Focus. I'll be back, and then we're 15 minutes away from a genuine oil expert coming on teaching some fucking class. So, all right, BRB, when I'm back, he'll be on. Jesus, that sound was fucking annoying. Yo, who is the guy from yesterday calling out oil shorts before 6 p.m.? I don't really know what that means. All right, but we have an oil bull coming on right now, so let me just play a theme song real quick, even though it's not his song. Thread Thinky Cardi. Wait. What do you mean Thread Thinky Cardi? I mean Thread Thinky Cardi. Come on, bro. All right, wait. Let me pull some of these images up real quick. Jesus, dude, he's got a lot of fucking open media links. All right, let's get it. Burp coming on right now. Guys, really sharp. I'm excited. And let us do it. Yo.
Yeah,
What's up, dude? How are you? I'll turn my camera on for you, but I know your camera off. How are you, man?
I'm good. I made it to the Starbucks.
Yeah, hell yeah. Welcome. You made it to the stream as well. It's good to have you here, man.
Good to be here.
If you want, you could give like a quick intro into who you are, and we could just bang out some oil discussion.
A quick intro. The real intro is super long. First, I studied hospitality in school, and then fast forward to COVID, everything is shut down. Decided that I should be able to make money from a computer.
Hell yeah.
And then like a year later, I had basically just started spending all my time every day on CT, and here we are 5 years later.
Yeah, now we trade oil futures on Hyperliquid.
Yes.
Sick. Well, look, I appreciate you joining me. You wrote an article. I think you and Jez have two of the best. Jez wrote a longer one, but it's just like a bunch of math equations. It's driving me nuts trying to figure it out. And so you wrote like a little bit of a more simple one, and I wanted to just like get an explanation on how these contracts work exactly. I mean, look, I don't know if it's a surprise to you, but I knew absolutely nothing about trading oil about 45 days ago, and I know maybe like 1% more right now. And so I was long yesterday, which I think you are as well. It's just like so frustrating, but I was long yesterday, and somebody came. I wasn't paying that much attention to funding or anything, and somebody came in the chat and was like, "Yo, you should sell because the rollover happens tomorrow, and you're gonna lose $10 on WTI, And I kind of psyched myself out because I have no idea how it works. So
Yeah.
I put up all your links. I guess I can share my screen so you could see what I am seeing. But do you want to I don't know where you want to start, but can you just like walk us through how these contracts work on Hyperliquid for commodities?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was the same as you like a month ago. I'm not like an oil expert, but I just read the docs and was like, wanted to make a visualization for myself of like kind of what's expected to happen. And so that's all the shit that I sent you. If you look at the one at the top that is labeled at the top, drift curves.
This one?
This is the one. Let's see, I have to watch it.
Roll schedule, cumulative funding.
No, so that's the funding.
Here it is.
This one.
Cool.
So basically, like the last night, funding became so negative.
It was insane.
And the spread between the contracts of the CME front month futures for oil and the second month, the spread had compressed so much, combined with funding being negative enough that if you assumed oil traded perfectly sideways until the roll on Hyperliquid was over, longs would be profitable by like 4% or something. And that's because you would get paid funding the entire time, and the amount of difference between the Hyperliquid perp and the second month futures contract was small enough to not take you into negative territory compared to the amount of funding that you would have received.
So can you like, as retarded terms as you can, explain what the roll means and like how that works on perps?
Yeah. Can you go find the article on my Twitter?
Yeah, I can actually.
About the rolls. That picture at the top on the I think that shows a snapshot of the oil futures curve.
Okay.
On CME.
So it's basically like the price of oil futures per like month of the contract.
Yeah, exactly. So if you sell the contract at whatever price, if you short these contracts upon the finalized, like the date of expiration is when these barrels need to be delivered. Like if you don't close your position, right? So that's the origin of these futures contracts is for like producers and other manufacturers to be able to hedge their production or cost, right? I think it first started in agricultural products, Like if I'm planting wheat and I have 10,000 acres and the price rips by 100%, I can short wheat and I can just wait until the contract expires and I can just deliver my physical wheat bushels. And like if wheat is now cheaper, I get to sell at a premium, right? And so that's why they first were invented, I'm pretty sure. And now, you know, we're just trading them speculatively on Hyperliquid. And so when the first contract expires, the first dot, which is 113, right? The price then the front month then becomes the second dot. Yeah.
Yes.
So for the next 5 days until the 14th, Trade XYZ Oracle is slowly drifting from the first dot to the second dot.
Okay.
And so you can sell the perpetual future and you can buy the second month.
So like,
and you can
so
pocket the spread.
This is like the front
so-
month, which is what most people are buying.
Yeah.
At some point, the
Which
front
you-
month expires, and it's now the second month becomes the front month. And so the perp,
Correct.
because you're just trading a solo asset on Hyperliquid perps rather than the specific month future, at some point, this has to merge into the second most recent like month future. And so they
Yes.
have to figure out how to basically get price there.
Mhm. And that happens in CME world in like 12 days or something. So the Trade XYZ front runs this process by like 1 week.
Okay.
And
And-
so
Keep going. Sorry.
So this visualization that looks like a mountain, it says spread history. That shows you the gap between the front month and the second month. A snapshot of that one.
This right
Back.
This?
No, back
this,
one
this,
more.
this?
This one right here.
Okay, wait, so what am I looking at right now?
So you're looking at the difference in price between the front month and the back month.
Okay.
So yesterday, like, or this snapshot was taken like right after the false ceasefire announcement. So the false ceasefire announcement comes, and the gap was like compressing significantly because people were like, "Oh, this oil that needs to be delivered in 2 weeks or whatever, this speculative premium that was baked into it because of the war no longer needs to be there." Blah blah blah, and like that's why they compress. But this spread is what the arbitrageurs are arbitraging, right? So the fact that this spread got like cut in half in 1 day changed the dynamics of the arbitrage so much that it like people were over shorting it. And when funding became like 0.07 and up and more negative than 0.07, it was theoretically like plus EV to be naked long oil.
Okay. Can you
Because
sorry, go ahead.
Because 5 days from now, like if you assume price stays somewhat steady, then you would have been paid more in funding than the contract would have gone down to meet that second dot.
So there was some ARB there. Can you explain why
It wasn't an ARB, it's just like a theoretical jam giga hard long in this spot. I mean, it is also an arbitrage because you could be longing the hype perps and shorting the CME futures, delta neutral, and just hold this position while the funding is super negative and you cheat your CME positions before expiry. And like, hopefully your execution is good enough to not incur enough slippage, like, you know, whatever, hopefully your execution is good and you can just collect the funding in the meantime.
Got it.
But due to like the open schedules of the different venues of XYZ being always and then CME not always, I'm not sure, you know, if this ARB was actually capturable. I don't actually do any of the ARBs, but I'm just like watching.
Can you explain why Hyperliquid does this transition like a week before the actual roll period?
I have no idea. I mean, I would assume that it's just like cleaner this way.
Okay.
And so like, you know, this way the perp will track the actual CME roll as well as opposed to like rolling at the same time and having like this different price
So like,
mechanism. Maybe Jez is like way better to ask. Like you said, he wrote a whole fucking paper.
yeah,
about
but I
this,
can't
and
fucking
it's
understand it. I'm sitting here like I'm dude. The
from
first thing
like
I wrote down in my intro for stream today is I need a math tutor. It's like, is that something you do when you're post economic? Is get a math teacher? Like,
yeah, I think you could.
but
Why not?
basically, the
Okay, one more step is like every day. So on the 8th, it hit that 20% at 5:30 Eastern time, which and the CME futures are closed from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So like from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th is like hyperliquid, or trade XYZ is like potentially a significant like venue for price discovery, kind of, in theory, because it's like very free floating
got it.
during that time, more so than others, I would say. I would think. I don't know. This is all just like guessing. I don't know how any of this actually works. I'm just like read the dots.
Okay, so like in theory, say the front month contract rolls over to the next, and the next basically eats up that speculative premium right away. We go back to same price. If you're long WTI on hyperliquid, you make up what you would lose in the contract rollover and price going down, in funding being so negative that you're getting paid.
It depends. You have to like calculate it at any given moment.
Got it.
You have to like,
so it's not guaranteed, but like in theory, you'd make up a lot of it.
Okay, so if you look at this, if you look at the image that I sent you that says funding break even rate versus current at the top, that was a snapshot of like how negative the funding needed to be for this like theoretical plus EV naked long scenario to be quote unquote true.
Oh, I see.
At the time. So because that number is dependent on the difference in the front month and the second month on CME. It's like it's also seems to be a pain in the ass to get like actual CME live data without like 10 or 15 minute delays.
Really? Why?
So because you have to fucking pay they want you to pay for it.
How much?
I don't know. I don't even know. But so far I've just been vibe coding shit with like the free stuff that I can find, the free data. And hyperliquid itself is sick because it's all just instant. Like it's always like it's the only data source on these dashboards. It's like always live.
Okay, word.
Kind of funny.
Word. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Listening to this makes me feel like I should not be a trade.
Does any of that make sense? Like,
no, it make. By the way,
well.
By the way, it actually like I fully understand the general premise. I don't.
Yeah, basically the first dot is
math.
morphing. The first dot is morphing into the second dot, and the hyperliquid oracle.
I fully get that.
Represents
has
that.
to get you there.
That's what it is. That's this oracle rolling. That's all it is. The oracle will be like weighted towards the second dot as the 5 days go on. The weighting will get 20% heavier every day until it becomes 100%. And then on the 14th, it now fully represents the second dot.
Yeah, cool. And it has to basically.
And so,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Sick. I appreciate you coming out to explain. Before I let you go, what the fuck is going on with these shitcoin manipulations in hyperliquid from XPL and then Farcoin? What happened with Farcoin?
So there's like, fuck, dude. I got so shitted on yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, I was like looking at it, and the guy had started a TWAP like 2 minutes before, and I was like, okay, they're gonna rip it like one more time. I can just degen chase long. And then I went to look at the funding, and I was like, oh, it went negative already. I should probably go like short. And then I fucking click back to go short it, and it just nukes 40% like as I'm going to click, and I just got completely shafted. But what's happening is these guys, these 3 or 5 addresses or whatever on hyperliquid somehow have access to these, like, or I don't know, this is what people are saying, have access to some giga whales trade like API trading API keys on like Binance. And so what they do is they are like using these hyperliquid perp accounts to walk up the price on these lower volume, lower market cap coins, like now that it's bear market and shit. And they basically get everyone to be like, oh my God, this shit's going up, and rip it into the trade with them. And then they just take like there's the Binance traders account and like giga nuke the asset and one like just full stack Hitler it, and they liquidate the accounts on Hyperliquid that are long, and those accounts are partially liquidated, but on Hyperliquid you can like withdraw unrealized P&L to a certain extent. So they do that before they do all this other shit, and then they walk away with that difference.
Jesus.
And then the assistance fund has been like left the bag in this case.
Damn. GG's. It's fucking insane
it's like
to watch
PvP.
these candles.
So this is why it's like, okay, either these big exchanges like are completely inept and like people are stealing their data and like manipulating user accounts, or they don't care, or that they're doing it themselves. So it's like, that's why, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of easy to believe the memes about like Binance trying to murder, HLP and shit. But,
insane. Cool. Thanks for the explainer. Are you long oil now?
No, I got fucking okay. So this morning, I told you I was going to the gym.
Yeah.
I was like super long and go to the gym, and then as I was getting to the gym, I see this notification, and it says Israel. like Trump told Bibi to keep it low key, bro. And I was like, oh my god.
And that is enough to fucking.
And I turned around. I just knew that it was about to get like headline blasted into oblivion. And I turned around and drove home and like closed for like meagerest profit ever because I fucking wasn't there before it's like you look at the chart and you're like, oh, is this XPL chart getting manipulated by whales?
So whack,
or is this $1 trillion asset for a global commodity? Oh wait, the chart looks exactly the same. Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. I closed my Zcash longs yesterday because we're back at war to long oil, and it's just like so.
Oh, and then the whales decided to rip it in your face.
That's awesome. Merp, you're awesome, dude. I'm a big fan. Hopefully we could get you back and do like a longer, proper episode. But I appreciate you no notice coming here and fucking explain some stuff to us.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, brother. Drive safe.
I like to watch your stuff.
I have Rory Johnston on next, so maybe he'll have some alpha for us.
Yeah, have fun. Make sure to sell your podcast for 260 million.
Why do you think we're fucking talking about oil on a Thursday, brother? All right, have a good one, D.
Good to chat, bro.
Likewise.
Jeez.
Peace. Yeah, I mean, okay, I get the basic premise. Is like, do you get the basic premise? I don't understand how the math works, but like, look. These are oil futures by date, by month. Okay. These are April 26. These are May 26. These are June 26. And see that they trade different prices, right? Because at some point there's actual delivery that happens. And so, like, if we are in a conflict right now that is really bad, but markets think it's going to be over soon, then front month is going to be super volatile and expensive. Back months aren't going to move that much. But when back months start moving, you're pricing in a prolonged conflict, right? And so at some point, the front dated contract that we're all trading expires and we move over into this next month, which is probably cheaper. And so on the CME or like on the stock market or whatever, you're trading month by month specific contracts. And so you could be trading May contracts, you could be trading June contracts, you could be trading 2028 oil contracts. But on Hyperliquid, there's only a single asset perp. And so they have to figure out how to get you from the front dated contract to its expiry into the next one smoothly. And so somebody has to take the delivery of the oil, or you could roll it over. But like the reason that they're dated month by month is that somebody is taking delivery. And so you could either roll it over or you could take delivery. And so some people are taking delivery and then other people are just selling it or rolling over into the next month. And so Hyperliquid has to figure out how to get you from this front dated month into the next one. And so they do this like 20% a day. I don't really understand how the math works. Crazy funding spread, whatever, because price is cheaper. So funding goes like hyper negative. In theory, there's a price on funding that's so extreme, or if the math works out where you can stay long and you don't lose any money going from 113 to like 99 because the funding is so negative. And so the shorts are paying so much to the longs that you make the spread that you lose on front month to back month up on funding. So it's pretty confusing, honestly. This is not my claim to fame here is trading math, but I understand the general like premise of it, and I think that's really all you need to know is like generally how it works. Also, there's a Trump essay that just dropped. Let me see if I can find it. Also, we're pretty obviously going to be doing a lot of trading Zcash from here on out. I fear we are definitely going to be doing a lot of Zcash trading. I'm going to do my best to like really understand this ASAP, and so I could give you like a better explainer, but that's what I could do right now. Where's the Trump essay? Jesus. Okay. I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it's wonderful Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon, because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV. Nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free, cheap publicity. Now, they think they get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA. Or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Or perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous Only Rosie O'Donnell question. Or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man, when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Let me go back and just reread what you just read. Or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man, when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers, and they will always be. Now, fake news CNN, the failing New York Times, and all of the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA. They're losers just trying to latch on to MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want to. But when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty. Just like, I don't know this name. Fuck, I was doing so good. Trader Brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength and not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again. And these people have no idea how to do that. But I do. Because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. President Donald J. Trump. Holy fucking God, I think he's lost it, guys. Sounds like the war is going well, huh? My favorite Trumpism, by the way, is they're calling it the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's my favorite. They're calling it the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's the hottest country in the world. They're calling it the hottest country in the world. It's the hottest country. At the exact same time, Melania, his wife, is crashing out about stop asking me about Tucker Carlson.
Friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach.
Palm Beach Pete mentioned!
To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more.
All right. We got to pause. Rory Johnston has entered the waiting room. Luke Jones, are you ready? Luke Jones, give me comms. Are you ready? I'm going to get up real quick. Let me mute the desktop. When we get back, we have our fucking oil expert, Luke. Damn, I just fucking name doxed this, brother. My fault, twin. Yeah, that was insane. My fault, brother. Luke, I'm letting him in right now. I'll be back in a minute, and let's get it. All right, he's in. All right, BRB chat. All right, LFG. We actually have a sick guest coming on the stream right now. I'm fucking hype. Live with Rory Johnston. All right, if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter and you'd like to chat, twitch.tv/threadguy. Otherwise, we have Rory Johnston coming on right now. All right, let's get it. I'm gonna bring him out right now. Yo, Mr. Rory, how are you, man? Welcome to the stream. I'm awesome, man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thanks for being with us. I can imagine it's a crazy time for you.
It's a crazy time.
Yeah, it is. I'll start and I'll give you a quick intro real quick because I don't know if you're familiar with me. But I'm threadguy. You can call me Michael, threadguy if you want. And we are primarily, myself, people in the chat are a bunch of traders. And this is primarily like a crypto stream. Historically, it was a crypto stream. Crypto got, boring. Market got a little weird. We transitioned to a lot of AI stuff, talking about stocks, talking about equities, a lot of what was going on in that market. And basically over the last 45 days, as I can imagine a lot of other people have, we have talked about nothing else but the Middle East and oil. And I actually have got the Phillips 66 back there. I've been trading oil. It's driving me crazy. But in this sort of pursuit of just trying to learn more about how this works, how to trade commodities, how everything in the Middle East plays out, your tweets and some of your interviews have been like essential to our coverage. And so
Thank you so much.
Of course, I watch the breaking points and we talk about you basically every day on stream. So I appreciate you joining. Do you want to maybe whip out a quick intro back and then we can fire into some fun stuff?
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Rory Johnston. I'm the founder of Commodity Context. I'm an oil analyst. Prior to this life, I led commodity economics research at Scotiabank here in Toronto, where I covered about 24 commodities. But these days, I'm all oil and refined products and everything in between. So let's talk oil prices, let's talk oil markets, and let's talk the Iran war.
Let's do it. Here's where I want to start. Is about 4 weeks ago, you did a interview on Breaking Points. And it was a really good one, by the way. It was relatively early in this conflict. And I have the quote, and you said something along the lines of, if this goes on much longer, we will enter the largest energy crisis since the 70s and maybe ever. That was 4 weeks ago. Where are we right now on that scale?
We're rapidly converging on that reality. I think, at this stage, the shortages, the actual air gap, as I've been describing it, this idea that it takes, while the market and prices move at the kind of the speed of tweet, physical oil markets move much slower. 6 weeks ago, you still had tankers leaving the Gulf. It takes time for those tankers to get to where they're going. So the first areas to feel the physical shortages were East Africa. Then you began to see it in West and East Asia, South Asia. And then from there, Europe, and now us in North America. I'm assuming you're stateside. Us in North America, the last ship will basically be arriving, any day now within the next week. After that, and this is when those physical shortages are starting to bite. We've already seen multiple cases where, say, a tanker of diesel going from the U.S. Gulf Coast was heading towards Europe on a fairly normal trip. And then it basically rapidly and kind of abruptly diverted around the Horn of Africa to actually service the East Africa diesel trade. And because that was basically where you saw the shortages first hit. So I think while paper markets, futures markets are able, and I think we can talk about the degree to which they are very sanguine right now. I think that they are very optimistic about the future, but they can look through this and they can have a view theoretically in this world. Physical markets are just going to try and reconcile by bidding for whatever barrel they can possibly get. I think Bloomberg had a headline out today talking about ASAP barrels. And I think that is a good way of thinking about it. When we talk about spot barrels, we want them now. It's, someone's so desperate for barrels, they don't need them tomorrow or next week or next month, heck, they want them today. And I think that's one of the unique aspects of this crisis thus far, is that it's manifesting almost entirely in what we call term structure, or the shape of the futures curve. So let's do a little term structure and futures curve 101, because I think it's a useful perspective here. Before I go, any clarifying questions?
Well, I would love for you to do that. I wanted to ask how and where do you see these physical shortages show up? Like, how are you tracking this? What does it look like practically?
Yeah, so looking for it practically is difficult because most of the oil market data that I rely on and many people rely on is lagged by months. Typically, we're operating at least 2 months lagged for good, solid government data. This we're kind of feeling around the shadows. Okay. So what it looks like in the immediate term, as we can kind of see this happening, is there are run cuts at refineries across Asia. We know that's happening. That's been widely reported, and that happened from the very beginning, because they didn't want to run out of crude. So they actually reduced the run rates to try and extend their runways. That prompted, jet fuel prices in Asia in the first week of the crisis to jump over $200 a barrel equivalent. And you've already been seeing, Asian airlines cutting back flights, cutting back routes. You're seeing it basically, shortages are going to manifest in two ways. They're going to manifest as sky high prices, which we're seeing in spot markets. And they're going to be seen through reductions in activity. This is where you get cuts to airlines, et cetera, et cetera. There was a story over the Easter weekend that airports in Italy were beginning to ration jet fuel and prioritize long-haul flights over short-haul flights, and prioritizing and keeping some jet fuel available for, say, air ambulance and air taxis. Okay. I think that is the kind of thing that you will be seeing more of. And at this stage, again, so the physical storage have only started hitting. We still have some inventories. Those inventories will keep drawing down, and that's when we get into a real pinch point. I think for, say, Europe or wealthy areas, again, like North America, given enough time, this likely won't manifest as long-term shortages. I think, consumers in these countries are wealthy enough to bid these prices quite high. Yeah. And they will start incentivizing those barrels away from poorer areas of the world. So while we will feel debilitatingly high price shocks, it's effectively a tax on us. Much of many poorer countries around the world are going to face physical shortages. Like, they just will not be able to get diesel. Like, there will be nothing at the pump.
And has that already happened? Like, are we deep enough in this crisis where that is just going to manifest itself in the coming weeks?
I don't know if I could say for sure that, that we're not past a point of no return. I think, I was just running some scenarios right now for a piece I'm writing on kind of, let's say Hormuz opens on Monday. Okay. Let's say, for instance, and I'm not saying this is my base case. Yeah, 100%. But I'm saying let's be maximally optimistic that you get strong, like some kind of negotiated settlement at these negotiations in Pakistan. Something happens, and on Monday, Hormuz reopens full tilt. 130 vessels a day both ways. And you start getting the production that's been shut in across the Gulf. There's about 13 million barrels a day of production that is actually shut in, that's not producing. Those barrels, those fields and projects can start ramping back up. That's going to take time to ramp. But even just between all of that, by the end of the month, basically right now, we've already lost over 400 million barrels of liquids that have not been produced. So that is because of these shut-ins and the accumulated deficit that's emerged is 400 million barrels, give or take. And by the end of the period, I've been modeling a 3-month recovery for these shut-in fields, with most of that happening in the first month, but still kind of trickling out. In total, by the end of summer, the full barrel cost would be upwards of 800 million barrels. I had modeled this earlier that if the conflict continued through the end of April and basically started, the Hormuz opened full tilt at the 1st of May, that would be roughly 1 billion or 1.1 billion barrels of unproduced oil. So that's a lot of oil.
That's a lot of oil.
And I think at the bare minimum, we went into this. I think now it's funny is like, obviously I've done a bunch of podcasts and, I've been talking a lot and everyone thinks I'm this like alarmist permabull, which if you talk to anyone in the oil market that's been around for like more than 45 days, they're like, oh yeah, this guy's like a perma bear. This guy's the guy that's always bearish about oil prices. And that's the irony is I think I've found myself in the situation where the math, the barrel accounting is just so stark. It's hard to come up with a scenario that doesn't have this market shifting from kind of an oversupplied bearish trajectory as of early February to the current scenario that even if we went back to that kind of bearish supply demand balance, we had oversupplied markets, you'd be coming out of it with, 700-800 million barrels less in the global inventory stockpiles. That's just a tighter market. So it's gonna be higher prices going forward.
So I remember one of the first bearish catalysts for oil prices going down was the SPR. That entire reserve is like 1.2 billion barrels, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, so that's basically what the International Energy Agency considers the government-controlled and government-mandated strategic or commercial stockpiles across the 32 members of the IEA. That's roughly, give or take, 400 million in the United States and 800 million elsewhere across the rest of the IEA.
So your 800 and some change million is a lot of fucking oil.
Yeah, and I think, and to be clear again I think it's important to understand on the price formation side. If that entire 800 million barrels was entirely absorbed by strategic stock releases, that would be, it would take most of the strategic stockpiles out of the world.
Yep.
But you could make a case that wouldn't have an apocalyptic price upside because these barrels are meant for emergencies. They're meant to get dumped on the market. That they would basically manifest as additional supply. The challenge with all those, even that 400 million, that initial, the largest release that's ever been announced, that got announced in the second week of the crisis, that can only be released at a certain pace. So when we're talking about 13 million barrels a day shut in across the Gulf that we need to make up for elsewhere, it's not, you can't draw down the 400 million at 13 million barrels a day. I've been modeling it roughly 3.3 million barrels a day because it's going to released over like 120 days.
Got it.
So that takes time to get into the system, which again goes back to these short-term logistical problems that the market's trying to solve via price to get the barrels to where they're most needed to the person who's willing to pay the most for them.
Thank you for the explain on that. And so, you said at the very beginning you think the market is being very generous to oil prices right now. I also think a day or so before you went on breaking points 4 weeks ago, because they pulled it up on the screen, you had this tweet with price prediction of $200 a barrel for crude. Where are you right now on the price prediction?
So let's talk prices as well, because the price that actually matters is, the price that's paid.
Yep. On
the day that the ceasefire was announced on Tuesday, we actually got dated Brent prices, which is the global spot price of, so that's not the futures. So prompt Brent futures are for June. This is actual for barrels, basically for delivery in 10 days, give or take. Those prices hit a nominal all-time high of over $144 a barrel on Tuesday. So there's a huge spread between those spot prices and those June, even before the ceasefire, June delivery was down to 110. So this is that backwardation that's really pressing on markets. It's just signaling like a 5-alarm fire, being like, give us every barrel you can right now. If you have inventory and storage, it's basically creating this massive opportunity cost. Because let's say, you, Michael, sitting at a storage tank in Cushing, Oklahoma. If you have a barrel in stock, last week we had WTI prompt spread, so the difference between the first and the second month, so May and June for WTI, hit more than $15 a barrel. If you were to sell that barrel to the market in the spot, basically in May, you could buy the same barrel back for $15 cheaper in June. You could rent it to the market basically for a month and pocket $15 a barrel. That's the kind of incentive that's being created to try and fill that hole in spot markets.
Wow.
And I think that's the so where do I stand on $200, right? I think if Hormuz remains closed, the way I would parameterize the $200 call is if Hormuz remains closed, $200 or more is the type of prices we would need to see to destroy 10 million plus barrels a day of demand. Now, the one trick I will add to that, and this could be Weasley depending on the listener, but the ultimate thing that drives price destruction or demand destruction is not necessarily crude oil prices, but is rather refined product prices, so diesel, jet fuel, et cetera.
Okay.
We've seen the crack spreads for those explode over this crisis as well. At the beginning of January, diesel crack spreads in New York Harbor versus Brent. So there's the difference, the effective refining margin, the difference between Brent and a barrel of diesel in New York Harbor was about $30 a barrel.
Wow.
It peaked recently at $90 a barrel.
Wow.
And is currently sitting just shy of 70. But let's say in this case you had $110 barrel Brent and $90 crack spreads. You have $200 barrel diesel right there already. We've already had that. But I think that those prices could reach like 253 inclusive of that refining margin and everything else. I think that's going to be the challenge, is figuring out how much of this falls on the refined product side and how much falls on crude oil specifically. And then to the point of, well, everyone's like, well, Rory, Brent crude is trading $100 right now. If you look at the prompt WTI prompt Brent future for June, and that's true. And that, I think, is where it comes to this fact of normally, in I would say almost all circumstances, I push back hard against the argument or the belief that the futures market is a prediction of what's going to happen for future prices. It's rather about clearing that spot market, that if you have a big deficit, you need a big premium on spot prices to get that supply to where it needs to go. And if you have a big surplus and you have way too much oil, you get this big prompt discount. And that basically pays for inventory storage. Basically, it's the fire sale. It's the forced selling, right?
Got it.
So the question is whether or not things will be that much better by June. And I would say that at this stage, it seems like the market is trying, that part of this abnormally is a belief in the market that things will get better. And that's why you're seeing futures in particular react so seismically to news like the ceasefire.
Got it. And so the biggest question, by the way, that's beautiful. Thank you. The biggest question now remains is like, when is the Strait of Hormuz going to be open? And so the other thing that I've learned in 45 days navigating geopolitics, basically for the first time, is how difficult it is to sort through what is real, what is fake, which political leader has an agenda, who's pushing propaganda, how much of this is the truth. And so, we get this ceasefire announcement and some commentary that the strait is open, there's a toll, maybe, but maybe there's some joint venture between Iran and we don't really know. There's a ceasefire, which is basically violated in the first, 12 hours, and we're back to ceasefire discussions, and the strait is definitely not open. And so you have been tweeting this basically every 3 hours. The strait is not open. It's not open. It's not open. When
it's become a bit of a meta meme, honestly.
What does the strait being open again mean at this point?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think typically the Strait of Hormuz, very busy waterway, very important waterway. Typically, depending on the sources you're looking at, between 100 to 130 ships typically transit the Strait of Hormuz each way, basically. So that counts both westbound journeys and eastbound journeys every day. What has it been averaging recently? Like for the majority of the war thus far, we've been in single digits for those transits, with the vast majority of those ships being Iranian. And one of the oddities of this crisis, and this would have bamboozled an oil analyst if you told them 2 months ago that, oh, guess what? There's going to be a war. Iran's going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, but they're still going to get to export their oil and no one's going to stop them. That would be a surprise, I would say, to most oil analysts, myself definitely included. But over the past week through April, we actually started to see a decent uptick in that. We started to get low double digits, kind of like 10, 12, 13 ships a day.
Okay.
That was an improvement. And I think there can be lots of arguments as to why this is happening. I think one thing to just remember fundamentally from like a human perspective here is that there are like something like 20,000 seafarers trapped in the Strait, trapped in the Gulf, right? You're talking about, something like, over 1,000, 2,000 ships in different types. And you've got, 20 plus thousand seafarers trapped there. They have, they did not plan to be stuck in the Gulf for over 5 weeks. They are running out of food, water, medicine, all manner of things. It's a humanitarian disaster on top of everything else. So I think at a base level, there is going to be pressure to clear the ships that are currently in Hormuz out, just on that fundamental human basis alone. So that's also part of this. And there were a lot of deals between, say, Iran and the Indian government being a traditional kind of consumer of Iranian fuel pre-sanctions in kind of 2018, 2019. They're also, India is a major, one of the interesting things about Indian oil demand is like between a fifth and a quarter of Indian oil demand is LPG, or basically propane, liquefied petroleum gas, and they use it for like cooking fuel. So it's one thing to say that like you and I can't drive. It's another thing to say we can't cook food. And I think that like these are like fundamentally different levels of kind of the hierarchy here. So there was a lot of pressure, and some of the first ships that were cleared to transit the Strait were actually LPG tankers headed for India. So there have been some kind of direct appeals. And then there's this stuff about like, okay, are these ships paying a toll to Iran? Because Iran has been talking about a $2 million per ship toll, which sounds very steep, but is much more reasonable when you like apply it to, say, a VLCC, or a very large crude carrier tanker, which holds 2 million barrels of crude, so $1 a barrel. And that's something what we've seen more recently is maybe the toll would be $1 a barrel of oil or something of those varieties. That is very expensive, given that, before it was zero. So it's exponentially more than zero. But in the scheme of oil trends, like I would not be on your podcast if oil was $1 a barrel higher than prior, right? Like, I think it's fair to say no one would care because that's pretty insignificant. So I think that's the kind of, like, that is suboptimal by all means, but I think entirely reasonably kind of incorporated into the oil price, if that, that's much better than our current situation where we're not getting any ships through. And I'm sure that many ships would be willing to pay the toll if they were able. But I think Iran also wants to kind of keep the Strait tight because this accumulating pressure on the global economy is its main weapon against the United States and Israel in the war.
I don't know exactly how to phrase this, but in this, oil, like, how does the oil hierarchy, if you will, evolve if Iran is actually able to hold on to this toll through the Strait of Hormuz in perpetuity?
Yeah. So, and I would say that I think my current base case scenario, I wouldn't say it's a really, really strong base case, because I think there's so many options out there what this could look like. But my base case, or the nearest thing to it, is that the United States and the Trump administration, given this mounting market pressure, pulls back, doesn't want to kind of get into this mess. Iran in this scenario maintains effective functional control of the Strait of Hormuz. The rest of the Gulf states will hate it. They will kick and scream. Obviously, beyond the fact that they don't want anyone controlling the strait, they've just spent the past 45 days being bombed by Iran, and obviously there's a lot of bad blood there, very reasonably. But again, I think the status quo is existential for these countries. This cannot continue. Iraq, Kuwait, even Saudi. Iraq and Kuwait are basically producing negligible volumes of oil now relative to before. It's almost all shut in. Saudi Arabia obviously has the East-West pipeline, which, by the way, today was confirmed that you had an attack on the East-West pipeline, which kicked out a pumping station, which the Saudis have reported reduced flow rates on the pipeline, which is a total flow rate of about 7 million barrels a day. This reduction in pressure has reduced the flow rate by about 700,000 barrels a day, so about 10% reduction on that line. And they also confirmed attacks against 2 upstream fields, collectively costing about 600,000 barrels a day of Saudi production capacity, not just even. And this is one of the big fears, is that if these attacks spiral to upstream facilities, that kind of 3-month recovery window I talked about, it goes from weeks to months to years. And as an example here, we have in late March, mid-late March, we had when Israel attacked the Iranian South Pars gas field.
Yes.
They immediately counterattacked in what is like now their pretty classic escalatory tit for tat ladder against the Qatari Roslafen LNG facility, and they like did a number on this facility. They made it count, and the Qatar Energy CEO told Reuters that week that would reduce Qatar's LNG export capacity by 17% for up to 5 years.
Whoa.
And I think that's the thing I really keep stressing is like the current situation is unsustainable. We need to reopen Hormuz, but the situation is not nearly as bad as it still could be. If we got, say, boots on the ground, if we did see further military escalation, Iran would start going after more of these durable production assets and hitting them directly and greatly extending the recovery window and thus greatly inflating that total lost barrel count that I had earlier.
I don't mean to throw you off topic with this, but I love some lore. When you talk about, the I don't know, greatest is the word, but biggest energy crisis in histories, like how did the 70s situation resolve?
Well, so the energy crisis in the 70s was largely a redirection of flows away from the United States and Great Britain and other countries allied with Israel. The overall loss was far smaller than today. The challenge at the time, I think, was twofold. One, the energy intensity, or particularly the oil intensity of all of our economies, was much, much greater. We consumed a lot of oil for the economic activity that we were producing. Now we're consuming much more oil, but our economies are like vastly, vastly larger. So in terms of kind of the impact of $100 or $200 oil on our economies, like the impact of $200 oil today would likely be less than the pricing pressure that we saw in the 70s. But it's the volumetric loss, that demand destruction for the global economy that I think we're talking about primarily. The other thing about the 70s that I think typically gets remembered are those physical shortages, are those extraordinarily long gas lines. And a lot of that was actually to do as much with the kind of reaction of the policy framework from the Nixon administration, which did things like implement price controls. And I had mentioned earlier that in most of my outlook, I do not see kind of notable scarcity in the medium term in advanced Western kind of wealthy nations. The thing that could mess that up is if you didn't have the ability for price to compete and incentivize those barrels back to your shore. So if you say have domestic caps on gasoline prices, well, you're not going to get the barrel then because someone doesn't have the cap and they're going to pay for it. So that's the thing that kind of short circuits this is if you start mucking with trade or the ability of these countries to trade, that's when you can get notable dislocations and shortages in these advanced economies that otherwise the market would still satisfy.
So what do you think about price caps? Is there any realistic scenario where the U.S. puts price controls on oil?
I mean, it seems unlikely. I think more likely, even politically, because I think price caps to a Republican kind of Trump administration would seem especially draconian. Although again, this is the president who campaigned on increasing no wars in the Middle East and increasing affordability, and look where we are right now. So who knows?
Fair.
But I would say more likely than price caps is that you could see them start trying to restrict if the crisis gets worse. If Hormuz remains closed, they could start restricting the ability to export refined fuels, and in particular from the United States. One of the United States and Canada, so I'm at Toronto, are the kind of North America is the most energy secure place on planet Earth right now. And particularly, say, where do you live?
I just moved to New York. I was in LA before.
Okay, so from coast to coast.
Yep.
In both of those spots, you're going to have a hard time because there's a lot of exposure to global trade because you're right on the coasts. The nearer you get to the center of the country, like say if you're in the Chicago area, you do not have the same competitive pressures that you would need to either compete for a barrel or that someone could compete and take your barrel away from you. those, what we call like mid-continent or mid-con is satisfied by a lot of domestic US oil production and also a lot of locked in Canadian oil that can only travel on those pipelines. You can't incentivize those barrels away. So for that reason, the most energy secure people in the world right now, arguably, are those in the center of the United States.
That's wild. Good to know. I guess I'm in the wrong fucking place right now.
Aren't we always?
Yeah, aren't we always? What about what's happening in Russia? Is the market under indexing for energy infrastructure getting blown up and attacked in Russia right now?
I would say that the oil market just generally is like suffering from deep headline fatigue. Like there's just too much going. As someone whose job it is to like try and follow all this, it's been impossible to follow everything as closely as you'd really want to. So what's happening in Russia is, one thing I stressed from the beginning of the crisis is that Moscow was the single greatest beneficiary of the Iran war.
Yeah.
That both because obviously it is a major oil exporter and this was very bullish for oil prices, but also the prior 9 months before the war, the Trump administration, to their credit, had done a lot of good work tightening restrictions on the Russian oil trade. You saw blocking sanctions against Rosneft and Lukoil in October last year. You saw punitive tariffs put on India, 25% for their import of Russian oil. Those tariffs were removed. You've seen sanctions on Russian oil and water broadly waived. You saw differentials or discounts for Russian barrels hit like $30 a barrel before the war, and they were back to single digits. You actually had some landed Urals barrels, a major Russian export grade, landing in India at a premium to Brent. So that was a huge uplift. Now, someone is also in a war with Russia. Zelensky is also seeing the same stuff that I'm seeing. They're seeing kind of the relaxation of sanctions. They're seeing these gangbuster prices or these windfall prices. And he's kind of like, no, like you don't get to benefit from this. So what you've seen is this pro-cyclical kind of upward spiral of attacks against key Russian oil export infrastructure in the Black Sea and in the Baltic Sea. You've seen kind of repeated drone attacks taking these facilities out. At one point, Reuters had reported that 40% of Russian oil export capacity was offline, which they noted was the largest shock. Yeah, 40%. It is unlikely still that, and that's the thing is that things are moving targets. Unlike the Gulf, where these barrels are shut in, and until Hormuz starts flowing again, they're gonna stay shut in. Moscow has every incentive to get these facilities back and running, which is why Ukraine keeps pummeling them over and over and over again to basically keep this offline. So every couple of days, you see a new, open source intelligence kind of video come out of like a major drone strike at Primorsk or Novorossiysk or wherever else, these major export points. So that's ironically, as the price goes higher, the incentive for Ukraine to hit Russian export infrastructure also increases, which would then increase the price of oil more. So it's this is the pro-cyclicality of it, on top of everything also happening in the Gulf.
Wow, 40 is a fucking massive number.
They noted in the Reuters piece that it was the largest disruption to Russian energy infrastructure basically since the fall of the Soviet Union. Which is a big number. And I was saying at the time, like we only have like enough mental and emotional space for like one largest shock in history kind of thing. Multiple of them, it's not good. So yeah, that's something that's happening on top of this. Now, very frankly, I have not been able to follow it as closely as I normally would because my eyes are on this straight. But yeah, this is all happening at once.
Wait, so what is the oil market normally like? Like what? How does this compare to
Way
your
more
normal
boring.
life?
It's normally, I usually spend a lot of my time working on like Canadian pipeline economics and like stuff that a lot of people would find kind of relatively boring. I think it's very interesting, but I think a lot of people would be like, okay, a couple dollars here or there. Like a big deal for Canadian oil would be the difference between a $12 differential for a crude and a $15 differential for a crude. That is a big deal for me, not for most people. This is one of those things where it just kind of drowns everything else out. And that, again, I'm normally a much more like calm, non-alarmed person. It's just in this moment that it's just these numbers are so big. And it also gets kind of like start to make you feel like you're insane. You're looking at these numbers accumulating, and then Brent just sold off $20 and the strait's still not open. Like maybe I'm hoping the oil market's right because that means that the worst of it's behind us. But it doesn't look like the worst of it's behind us quite yet.
So would you say, like you say, you're not an alarmist, which is why it, is maybe alarming for someone like me. And I sort of already asked you this, but like, can you talk a little bit more about how the global like oil power structure evolves if Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz like forever? Like, is Saudi just completely out of the picture? Does Iran become a stronger world power? Like, how does this evolve like global standing?
I would definitely say that if Iran maintains effective control of the Strait of Hormuz, it will become a much more important global player than it has been, which has essentially been a pariah. And I mean, like, yes, there's been security concerns, there's been the proxies, like there's been issues, but it's kind of always been like an annoyance. I mean, obviously Israel has a different perspective, and I think a legitimately different perspective.
Yeah.
But for the global oil market, it's kind of been an annoyance. Now it's like a power player. It's the power player right now. So this is where we go back to this question of like, do the Gulf states tolerate Iran controlling the strait?
Got it.
The answer is like, not really, but also in the interim, what are they going to do about it? Because they don't have themselves the military capacity to do what would be needed that the United States could do, which would be a months-long campaign with boots on the ground and everything else. It seems unlikely that the Gulf monarchies are going to follow that course. That said, if Iran does maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz, and honestly, even if they don't, every Gulf state right now is going to be building pipelines to route around Hormuz, because that's one of these things, like, that's a no-brainer now. The Saudi East-West pipeline took 40 years to pay off. It was conceived of in, I mean, it's paid off. It's been doing stuff in the interim period, but like it paid off big. Over the past month. It was built in the 1980s during the Iran-Iraq War, when you had the tanker wars, and there was concerns about the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. They built it then, and it was 40 years later that it basically was like, wow, thank God we have that thing. And I think a lot of the other states are going to be following course. Now, then we get into the extremely messy kind of geopolitics of laying linear infrastructure across the Middle East. And obviously these are not foolproof, as we've seen that, there was a strike on the Saudi East-West pipeline very recently. They're not foolproof, but again, this is kind of a no-brainer. And the other thing it's important to stress here, back to the economics, is it's not because it's going to be cheaper, even if Iran's charging a toll, because let's say they're charging $1 a barrel toll. You're not going to get a pipeline built for cheaper than $1 a barrel, like $1 a flowing barrel of capacity, right? You're going to need much more than that. Probably you're going to need a decent amount more than that at the very least. So it's not about the economic cost per se. It's about this kind of ongoing existential geopolitical fear that Iran, even if they're charging a toll right now, at any point they could say, no more passage for you. And even right now, like I was saying, many ships would be paying the toll to get out if they could, and Iran's only letting some ships through.
Maybe this is naive of me, but I at this point, I think there's like two things that are true. One being the market wants to go higher and oil wants to go lower, or the market wants to force oil lower. And the second is it feels like Trump pretty desperately wants to get out of Iran.
I would agree with both assessments.
Okay. How do you, I know this is full speculation at this point, nobody really knows, but how do you think Trump gets out of Iran? Like, how does this conclude?
This goes back to like, I view like the unilateral taco scenario as my like primary scenario here. And again, some people take issue with taco as a framing. It is pejorative. I'm fine with it. But I think what it really means more realistically is that kind of Trump backs down from his prior goals or makes some concessions because of external market pressure. So that's really all in this context taco means. But what that's going to mean is there are lots of areas right now where Iran and Washington remain diametrically opposed. Like today, the issue was Lebanon and the status of whether or not Lebanon was included in the ceasefire. There's also this core disagreement. Iran insists it has the sovereign right to domestically enrich uranium for its civilian nuclear program. And again, I don't think anyone's under like any like illusions that Iran wants a bomb and it's doing this in all manner of way, but it insists that it has this kind of domestic enrichment right. Also, again, the Strait of Hormuz itself, Trump seems to be flip-flopping every like couple hours over whether or not he's okay with Iran having a toll. That At one point, it was like he mused that he could like maybe they could split the toll.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what?
I know. Like launch a startup on this the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's fractional Strait of Hormuz flow through. But that I think is what needs to happen is if Trump wants to get out, if Trump wants without further pain. And I think this is why it probably still isn't happening yet.
Yeah.
Because I think that I don't think that, again, oil prices are $100. Yeah. Every time the market sells off on the belief that Trump is backing down, the irony is it reduces the pressure on him to back down. So there's this constant chicken and egg back and forth that it's been very kind of, bamboozling to follow. But yeah, I think that's how it eventually happens, is some kind of concession, whether or not that is on enrichment or restraining Israel in its attacks against Lebanon, or other things. Again, it seems unlikely that he'd be able to depart without leaving Iran in control of the strait. And that's kind of how I think this ends, is he leaves, the U.S. Navy kind of pulls away, and Iran starts, because again, Iran, if the war is done, Iran doesn't want to kind of close the strait in perpetuity. It doesn't want to be a global pariah. It wants power. It wants prestige. It wants respect, whatever. Now, but it will allow that to ramp back up over time and under its control. And now the question is, like, what does that look like and how long can that last? I push back into people that say it can't happen because it would be politically intolerable to the Gulf states. I hear that, but I still think it's better than the current situation. That said, it's an inherently unstable kind of equilibrium. And it's not an equilibrium. It's deeply unstable.
Yeah.
And the challenge is that now that Iran has a taste for closing the strait, again, if you had asked me 2 months ago what the odds of closing the Strait of Hormuz were, I would have said negligible. Seriously, this is one of those things that this was always something that was such a remote possibility in my mind for most analysts. Back to this, people thought I was a bear. I had heard that Iran was on the verge of closing the Strait of Hormuz, every month since I started working in the oil market. This has been the perennial kind of boogeyman in the market. And it was one of these things that I was like, okay, whatever. There's lots of things that happen in the oil market. They're not going to close Hormuz. Whether or not, that was mostly because I didn't think that a U.S. president would start bombing Iran, attempting to call Tehran's bluff, because I thought it's too big a bluff to call. And they tried, and it wasn't a bluff. So now we're in this situation. Now that Iran knows it can close the strait, now that this has been happening, it dramatically ups the odds from near zero in my mind previously to a real possibility. And given the scale of the impact, one of the main risks the entire market will be watching for years going forward, as long as the situation remains.
It's fascinating that you add that at the end, and I also think you kind of skipped over the market take I thought was a really good one, which is Trump sort of starts getting dovish and acts like he's really going to pull out. Market rallies, and it's this perverse incentive where the market rallying gives Trump more leeway to then go escalate, dump the market back down. It is this cat and mouse, chicken and egg game that's being played. And I guess on that topic of the market, the first, February 28th, strikes happen, Friday close, markets are closed, but on hyperliquids of these platforms, you can trade oil, Brent crude, everything goes crazy. And then by Monday open, we're really high. And then there's this, abnormal activity of really large sells that sends oil down back below, crude back below 100. Do you think that there's government intervention in the oil order books right now?
It's hard to say. And I think if you had asked me earlier it seems unlikely that you would have had sustained intervention for this long. I think there was an argument that, again, unprovable fundamentally, but there were rumors. There was an argument that, let's say in the second week of the war, that there was some kind of intervention. Some people believe it. Some people don't. I think at this stage, there's two things I think that are true, which is, one, to your point, the market wants this to end. The broader equity market, and it's funny, you talk about rallying, you talk about bullish on equities going up. I talk about bullish. When I mean bullish, it usually means equities going down because I'm talking about oil going up. But I think clearly the market wants to go higher and they want oil to go lower. So there's a huge kind of I don't know if it's a confirmation bias per se, but there's a lot riding on it. And again, this goes back to back in a couple weeks ago, there was the major oil and gas industry conference in Houston at Zero Week.
Yeah. Was that Chris
And-
Wright spoke
Yeah,
there?
Chris Wright was there as well. And I also have my own podcast that I'll plug here called the Oil Ground Up Podcast. And my last guest that's published is Kareem Fawaz, who works with S&P Global and was at Zero Week. It's their event. And he talked about this kind of this irrational optimism. And I go back to this point that like everyone in the room, like it was like right in the middle of this war and the largest kind of disruption to oil supplies in history. And everyone's kind of like, okay, yeah, there's a war, but like it's going to sort itself out. It would be catastrophic if it didn't. So clearly it's going to sort itself out. And I think that, excuse me, I think that in a lot of that, there's been a lot of this. I myself feel an element of this because again, this is why I think that this ends by Trump pulling out, because the consequences if he doesn't just seem so large. So all that to say, I think that you can explain, futures markets and paper barrel markets better through this like collective hope than through government intervention. Because again, to sustain this level of selling pressure it's just too much. I don't buy at this stage that the reason prices are lower is because like Besant's sitting there sitting the sell button.
I wish I got to ask you that 3 weeks ago.
I would have had more. I would have been more spooky potentially.
Like the God clip 3 weeks ago. I got a couple more for you, and I'll let you go shortly. Here is there was the now I guess famous, better than infamous, Citrini Analyst number 3 folklore story, and I remember when Citrini published I forget the exact title, 2008 Intelligence Crisis about the AI story, sort of the SaaS apocalypse, software is worthless folklore story. On market open the next day, there's $50 billion evaporated from SaaS, specifically software. Was it the market was just red? Was it Citrini? I don't know. I like to argue it was Citrini. I'm curious for the real like oil traders and energy traders and people that are really deep in that niche. Did that article have any impact on new information, the way you were thinking about things? Like, did it really have a shockwave through the oil markets and like the oil community, or is it more folklore on Twitter?
I would say it didn't have the same scale of impact as the SaaS piece. I think a lot of people were talking about it. And I think the main thing for me is it confirmed that we saw a lot of increased traffic, at least immediately prior to the ceasefire, that there were ships transiting, that this was happening. And I think one thing that Citrini has pushed is this idea that Iran wants a straight open. And I believe that. I think Iran does want the straight open. I don't think it wants to wide open the strait immediately because it's still being attacked. Because I think at this stage, without a nuke, its primary kind of weapon of mass destruction, its primary leverage against the world is the Strait of Hormuz. So I think it's true that they do want it normalized, though. They also want the war to end. And I think it's this question of like, I think the war needs to end before we get any kind of real normalized traffic through the strait. Because the irony, and I think I can't remember if I said this already, but like we've seen traffic through the strait fall since the ceasefire has started, relative to the pace we were seeing before. So I think this issue is like I've been describing it as like Schrodinger's ceasefire, because it's like that, Lebanon's included and it's not included. Enrichment's included and it's not included. Iran can control the strait and it can't control the strait. Both sides are basically just saying that the other side bent over and basically accepted all of their terms. And now we're going to see, like, when the rubber hits the road, if these principles actually even meet in Islamabad this weekend, we'll see where this goes. Because again, many of those points of disagreement are the same points of disagreement that you had in February before the war. And if they could have decided on them, they could have done it then. And now further complicating matters
what did
is
we
that
exactly solve here?
Yeah, well, there's that, and there's also like now Iran Iran wasn't demanding control of the Strait of Hormuz before. Now it's demanding control of the Strait of Hormuz.
This is the craziest thing to me is we're now fighting over the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before February 28th. It's an unreal thought.
It's made a good meme, certainly. But yeah, I think it is crazy. And again, there's something to be said about. I have no I have no, I agree. Let's just say this. I agree with the concern that there is about an Iranian nuclear program. I agree that, and there's been a lot of, I think, like both sides of the aisle in the United States. I mean, it was the Obama administration, like arrived at the JCPOA. I think that there were better ways to disarm Iran than this. Yeah. And I think that this doesn't seem to have made the problem any better and may have made it worse. And I think that's kind of this issue is like people talk about like when this goes back to normal. I think we can normalize some degree of transfer to the state. I do not know if the Middle East goes back to normal. This is like the genie, the genie's out of the bottle here. Iran holds the strait. It's something that we never thought we'd see, and now it's happening. And it seems like it's a very, very difficult adventure to wrest control back from Iran, because it seems like you would need boots on the ground to like forcibly do that. And that just seems like something like I don't think the global economy can tolerate months more of Hormuz closure. And again, the risk of those upstream attacks spiraling across the board.
It's crazy. It didn't happen sooner, really. I mean, I know I'm fully have no, like, very minimal context, especially speaking to you on this, but it almost seems crazy it didn't happen sooner with Iran and the Strait. I want to ask you one more before I let you have a sign off question, which is that at the beginning of the stream, I told you we were a crypto stream, which is, are we still? I don't really know. At one time, that's what we talked about primarily, and crypto has somehow snuck itself into the equation. One with Bitcoin and the toll, but not that interesting of a topic. But what's more interesting to me is Hyperliquid and 24/7 perps. I don't know if have you paid any attention to Hyperliquid markets and seen commodities trading over the weekend, like if that's evolved the oil commodity markets at all?
I think that I think more people are looking at it as like everyone wants a real-time indicator of like how weekend news is percolating through. I still don't think they have enough volume to really be a purely accurate indicator of what normal oil prices will be doing over closed weekend trading. The one thing I am optimistic though, I also want to point this out on Twitter. If once upon a time you would always announce all of these things like after hours when the market's closed or on the weekends, in order to like avoid an immediate market reaction. And while I've always been like, I don't want 24/7 trading because I don't want to have to be aware of the oil market 24/7 over my weekends. Someone made the point that if there's 24/7 trading, maybe we just renormalize like announcing things during normal business hours. One of the frustrating things about this year so far is I like haven't had a weekend since the beginning of the year. Nicolas Maduro was kidnapped on a Saturday. Like all of this, every Saturday, there's some big event. And then it's like, okay, well, now my weekend's torched. You need to write a note for Monday or talk to people for Monday or whatever. And yeah, so I would say my optimistic view of markets like Hyperliquid or other things is just to get us back to a stage where like we announce big news when like normal people are supposed to be working and not like when I'm supposed to be like Trump, even more of the weekends, this like the ceasefire as an example. It was announced like I was trying to put my kids to bed. And like, I've got like multiple children trying to get jammies on and stuff. And then like this tweet comes across, I'm like, no.
You guys could be up for a couple more hours. Turn the TV back on.
Seriously, I'm
right?
like, honestly, just go play. I need to do
here's
this for
the
a hot
iPad.
sec.
Fuck it, right? I guess a double up on that too. I have a Polymarket sound in the background. Has that impacted your news flow? What's real? What's fake at all during this conflict?
I would say it's funny. I would say I haven't been following the prediction markets as much during this specific crisis because I've just been like bamboozled kind of with all the other news flow. But I would say I started looking at Polymarket or other kind of prediction markets more as a kind of a just normal course of action. Things like there was a while back during I actually tried. I live in Ontario, and there's basically the on again, off again regulation of whether or not we can actually use these things. So I actually tried to trade for the first time in my life on one of these during the 12-day war in June. And ironically, in hindsight, deeply ironically, was I wanted to basically just short. There was at one point, there was like an abnormally high, like a 60 or 70% chance that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm like, absolutely not. And I was like, I went to go try and basically short that contract. And then it was basically like, Polymarket is not available in Ontario because of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, damn it.
That's an insane market. That's a crazy.
Well, because it was one of these things where I was like, I was going to do a pair trade of like, go short that Polymarket contract and go long like a futures contract. Because like, if Hormuz was closed. You have an explosive upside rally that clearly was being priced in. But anyway, so that was that's my main experience thus far with them, and it was unsuccessful.
Cool. That's pretty ironic. Rory, you're incredible. I want to ask you as a sign off. Like I can imagine there has been an explosion of unique accounts trading oil for the first time over the last 45 days. And I want to ask, what do you think is like the biggest mistake or misconception a new oil trader would make trying to navigate the Middle East right now?
It's the irony is, I would say that in virtually all markets, these markets overreact to these types of geopolitical scenarios. The irony is, I would normally say fade this kind of stuff because again, the oil market over the past half decade has proven how exceptionally resilient and flexible it is to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A frickin' once in a century pandemic, the Houthis closing the Red Sea, a 12-day war in Iran last year. Like, there was countless examples of really impressive flexibility. And I just think that the numbers here are just so big that flex kind of begins to snap. So I would say in this moment, if you're an oil market watcher, try not to get run over, because heck, it's crazy out there right now. And watch the Strait of Hormuz, because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that we get flow resumed back through the Strait of Hormuz. That's all that really matters. And beyond that, usually try and not overreact to this stuff, and just don't follow my lead in this exact moment where I am very alarmed.
It's awesome. I love it. Rory, you're incredible. Please chill everything, like plug links, newsletter, everything. You gotta, these people need what you're talking about really bad.
Well, I encourage you to follow me. I see that this is streaming live on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter at Rory_Johnston on Twitter. I also host the Oil Ground Up podcast, which you can Google and find on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and the Clear Commodity Network, where it's distributed. And then finally, you should definitely subscribe to my Substack, Commodity Context. We publish all manner of oil market research. I have an oil market weekly report every Friday that I'll be publishing tomorrow. I've got 3 monthly data decks on global balances, North American detail. I used to just cover boring pipeline stuff, and OPEC policy, which is a lot of this right now. And then finally, there's a lot of thematic pieces, which for the past 5 weeks have been all Iran all the time. And before that was things like Venezuela or other major developments in the market. So encourage you to subscribe and follow me there as well. And thank you so much, Michael, for having me on the podcast.
Dude, you're awesome. I can imagine you're in maximum demand right now as well. So thank you for coming on the stream. Hopefully, maybe we could do a part 2 later on some better conditions in the oil situation.
Yeah, unwinding the Hormuz stoppage.
There you go. I'm looking forward to it. Rory, you're awesome, man. Have a good one. I appreciate you.
See you later.
Peace. Dude, that guy rocks. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? He's like, before this, he spends all of his time learning about pipe transfers in Ontario. I mean, what are we talking about? That guy is awesome. I didn't want to show him the barrel because I sort of showed him it at the beginning, and then I didn't want to make it weird and make him force a laugh. I mean, that guy was awesome, dude. It's crazy. You talk to the real deal oil people, and they're like, bro, we're fucked. That's what they say. The real deal oil ones are like, yeah, not great. That guy rocks. Commodity Corner. How about it? He's just I love people that are so I use this as a compliment, autistically obsessed with some niche thing. It's all he knows about is the flow of oil through Canada pipes. It's what? These people exist, dude. It's crazy. Best guest you've had on. It's the best guest I've had in a while, I think, because he's so focused on it. It's hard to locate these people. There's very few of them. And so what happens, right, is that there's these communities everywhere. We're in the era of niche, right? So there's people that are experts on every topic. Okay? And then this topic becomes super particularly relevant, i.e. Calvin, the shipping expert. He's been talking about shipping all day, every day for 10 years on Twitter. Nobody cares. Not that nobody cares, but, it's not the topic. And then all of a sudden there's a shipping crisis. And then he becomes the most in-demand, hottest account on the platform. And by that time, it's too late. You're not going to get any, special info from him. You're not going to get him on the show. We did because you guys are lit and you guys give me motion so we can bring guests like this on. But it gets very difficult to do it. And so this is part of the thing is like, if you have some interest in some topic, get obsessed with it. And then eventually it will just like, cool, you're the shipping guy. Hasn't mattered for a decade. Now all of a sudden it fucking is, not only does it matter, but it's the most important thing in the world. Good luck. You know, it's incredible how that shit works. Eventually you end up on the Thread Guy stream. All right, what's the Jez tweet? What is this? It's like profound. What is this? I have no idea what this is. Like genuinely no idea what I'm looking at. Everyone in the chat was like, it's profound. What is it? Wait. I mean, like, it looks sick, but like, why? What is a Monte Carlo simulation? No, it's not profound. Just read it, fuckface, LMAO. What is this? It's like a Monte Carlo simulation outputs, multiple equity curve. You gotta step up your game, bro. I just talked to a oil pipeline expert in Ontario for an hour. I'm trying. Fuck, man. Fuck. Why aren't you using Opus as a misclick? The red guy is so wholesome. I love how he doesn't know much, but still grinding. Bro, show me a fucking oil P&L right now. Deadass. Go on your Hyperlink and show me an oil P&L. I don't want to hear shit. Nah, pull out a Zcash P&L of the last 7 days. I deadass don't want to hear it. Doesn't know much, but he grinding. What are you talking about, bro? That's how easy the Zcash trade was. You still didn't take it. Spy puts. I'm telling you, man, if you were spy calls, you'd be in here just cranking. You'd be in here baddies everywhere, tens everywhere, draped off you. But no, you want to be fucking spy puts. You want to be a hero. It was a compliment. This motherfucker, man. We have spy calls and spy puts. No, Monte Carlo on back-tested equity curves is a table stakes quant work. It looks cool, but it's showing you path variance and historical data. The real question is whether the underlying signal is robust. Interesting. Oh, wrong way. I gotta get up real quick, and then we gotta go back to the we gotta watch the Melania clip again. Sorry. Took some profits on my Zek trade. Hey, everybody say W to Viblet right now. This is Matt for been in here grinding every single day since we started the stream. He just caked it on the Zcash long. Everyone give my dog some W's, man. Straight up. Caked it on the Zcash long. I know we did. Give my boy some W's. You know what I mean? That's what you tune into the stream every day. You lock in on a pit. You're the first chatter. You're here morning to night every single day. And what happens? You bink Zcash trades, bro. Hottest coin in the market. You're just in that. You're in that, bro. Fastest horse off. You're in that. That's what happens. You pull up. You lock in with the comm. You watch what we're doing 3 hours a day. I do it 14. You do it 3. You're in there like fucking swimwear, baby. That's what you do. We're in that. I'm in that. All right, baby.
You're mine. Well, it's just so beautiful to see you flying high. I'm sure you must see it too, but your eyes need to show you're mine.
Damn, people out traded me on it. That's just kind of whack, actually. That's kind of whack. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of, if you really really think it through, that's kind of whack. Damn, I got the Rory Johnston quote tweet. I'm kind of hype. Now, I did not get the follow back, but I'm thinking I'll get that one in the immediate future. I do want to watch that Melania clip, though. I'm not going to lie. And then we can move on. I actually want to talk about crypto. Bro, it's one of the better days in crypto in a while, I think. And Star from OKX and CZ are beefing about $1 billion on whether or not CZ's divorced. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, what is happening right now? On whether or not he's divorced. Like, CZ is not officially divorced. I'm like, what? And he's like, no, I am officially divorced. No, you're not. Show the papers. No, I don't want to show the papers, but I'll bet you $1 billion I am. I'm like, what are you guys talking about, dude? Star's trying to fuck up the rumored Binance IPO. I heard someone tweet this, actually. Wait. Someone from Dragonfly. Here it is. The only plausible explanation to me for the CZ memoir, Freedom of Money, Media Blitz, Andrew Ross Sorkin, Chamath, now TVPN, and Twitter posting is Binance wants to go public, but his prison stint has made an IPO unpalatable for any serious U.S. underwriter or institutional investor. This is his attempt at controlling the narrative and rewriting his own story. It matters. It calls into question, does CZ actually own the equity? Especially because he's on record in a court case saying he's married. Right, but think about why Star is talking about CZ's marital status. They all demons and they all cheat. They're fucking cheese at the KTV. Oh, jeez. Where's the KTV? Karaoke television. I don't even know what this means. I invited the KTV for the first time. What do I need to know? I have no idea about it. If I go to the KTV night, I'm presuming it'll be all Chinese people except for me. So I think it's mostly girls. Not quite sure that. It's just like a birthday or a get together. How does it work? Who pays me and how? What is this? Normal KTV is usually loud and somewhat dark and much less exciting than you would believe. What? Whatever you do, don't pull your dick out till you see other people do it too. Interesting. How was CZTVPN? Let's see.
Satoshi Nakamoto is.
No, unfortunately, I don't. Even if I did.
Wait, do you think TVPN asked him about the marriage allegations or not? Probably not, right? No shot. Why are we talking about
I would have to know,
bro?
but
Yeah.
I honestly don't.
Okay. Do you how have you processed that?
Just like, oh God, why are we?
Question of who is Satoshi? Have you wrestled with it? Have you?
It's just like there's more important shit to talk about than this. Gets easy on threadguy with Flood. Do you think he would do it? I think he would come back on the stream. I tried to do a Flood and what was it, Celestia debate. I might have Flood that backed out actually. How crazy is it? CZ came on 10-10, bro. How ridiculous is that? Let's see. What I actually do want to watch this clip on Satoshi though is John McAfee, I think.
How they decided who. Now listen, the people think that Satoshi designed Bitcoin. Nonsense. It was a team of 11 people over a period of 5 years that came up eventually with this.
Dude, I feel like I missed out so much by missing this era of John McAfee. Like, who is it? kind of brutal. I've missed this era. Like, I don't even, you know, I don't mean to say this in a naive way, but I don't even really know who this is that well. Like, I don't. I just have read like threads and seen people talk. Oh my! Every time I say it, it's like, oh my god, how dare you? But I don't really have the lore. I started crypto 2020 for NFT, like Top Shot, end of 2020, basically.
How they decided who would write the paper, I don't have a clue. But anybody who wants to know who it is, I mean, you know who the options.
I would do movie night flood. You should come over. We could like watch it and smoke capris and shit.
Sorry, you got Craig Wright, wasn't him.
McAfee would be sailing the strait if he wasn't playing dead right now.
I'm not going to name everybody else, so you'll figure it out. But somebody wrote the white paper. Well, if you read the white paper, number one, it is totally clear he's English. Every single word that has a different spelling in English and American is English. Number two, he left tells. There's only 5% of the population that has two spaces after a period. Everything was two spaces after a period. And
I'd do that.
The document was identical to documents that he had published professionally in professional academic publications. Identical. So now, then if you buy a $200 authorship program, and you take the white paper, you run it through, and you take any one of the papers that this guy wrote, or all of these people wrote papers, by the way, only one comes out with 99% probability as him. So I have spoken to him on the phone. I was actually going to divulge who he was. Why? Because all this nonsense was just stupid. People wasting time over nothing. I was going to say, listen, it's this guy. You know what he told me? A very smart motherfucker. He said, okay, what if you're wrong? Because if you're right, that Satoshi is going to have to hire 50 security guards and change his life. Else he will die, or this is going to happen. Why? Everybody's going to want a piece of him, including the governments that demand that he pay taxes on it. He said, okay, that's if you're right, then that person has the ability to do so. But what if you're wrong? You will have destroyed.
Dude, his voice is crazy.
An innocent man's life forever, and probably caused his death. Like, whoa. At that moment, I said, I understand. I'll say no more.
Whoa. Whoa. What is Alphabet? Alphabet was a massive dark web marketplace launched in 2014, primarily used for selling illicit drugs, stolen data, fraudulent documents, and hacking tools. At its peak, it was 5 to 10 times larger than the Silk Road, following an international law enforcement operation. It was shut down in July 2017. Alphabet founder Alexandre D. Snake, or Alpha 02, is a Canadian founder and administrator of Alphabet, the largest dark web marketplace at the time, launched in 2014. Arrested in Thailand. How much money did Alphabet make? It was 10 times bigger. At its peak in 2017, it was the largest dark web marketplace in history, handling over 1 billion in total transactions, primarily Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. During its roughly 2-year operation, daily sales were estimated between 600,000 and 2 million. It doesn't even make more than fucking Pump Fund, bro. It's barely doing Pump Fund numbers. That is insane. It's not even doing Pump Fund numbers, barely. 10 times bigger than the Silk Road. Yeah, somehow better for the world than Pump. You could drop a video link here. Bro, this was 10 years ago. 1 million 10 years ago for inflation. It's how much? 1.3 today? That's like a decent day for pump fun. Dream market was goated. Online darknet market. Found in late 2013. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, that's basically where we're at with the war updates. There's one more Trump that just came out. TG on so many lists just from his stream Google searches. What was the most recent Trump one? It was not this. It was about Trump straight. We could also watch the Melania clip. Why not? Hydra did 25 bill. How much did Hydra dark web make? The guy Kyle used to track darknet marketplaces for the NSA. What? Kyle Samani? Oh. I was like, what? Hydra, yeah. Saska, the goat. I thought you were talking about Kyle Samani. I'm like, brother, what? Hydra Market, the world's largest darknet marketplace before its 2022 shutdown, facilitated billions of dollars in illicit transactions. Financial activity can be broken down as followed. Since launch in 2015, Hydra facilitated approximately 5.2 billion in crypto transactions. Wow, under 10 mil to over 1.3 billion in 4 years. 1.7 billion in 2021, accounting for over 75% of all global darknet market revenue that year. What's the biggest right now? Is that like a bad question to ask? I'm seriously curious. What is the biggest dark web marketplace right now? Should I not ask that on the live stream? I wonder. Dude, this is insane. Market dominance. Full for your operation, Hydra responsible for an estimated 80%. Binance. 80% of all darknet related cryptocurrency transactions globally. Right now it's hyperliquid. Seized assets. Upon the platform's closure in April 2022, German authorities seized 25 million in Bitcoin. It's not that much. Oh, is that how Germany got all its Bitcoin? Crazy. I do want to watch, we'll read the last Trump tweet and we'll watch the Melania clip. Here it is. Trump. There are reports that Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Hormuz Strait. They better not be, and if they are, they better stop now, President Donald J. Trump. I'm going to be honest. I think Trump's Candace Owens, Alex Jones crash out is one of his better tweets of all time. This is probably one of his best tweets ever. No bullshit. Let's watch the Melania thing real quick. Just curious. Why not? Let's sprinkle a little Epstein lore. If we haven't had enough, let's do a little Epstein.
Never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were in.
By the way, that did not. Let's do a little Epstein. Did not sound right at all. So I rescind that comment, but we'll continue to play the clip.
Invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more.
Where's this coming from? Like, why does she have to speak on this?
Than a trivial note. I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book.
Hold it under zero pressure.
Melania. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his
Yes, your book.
criminal undertakings. Numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now. Be cautious about what you believe. These images and stories are completely false.
Okay, so here, yeah, I don't know. There's just like too many situations to monitor. I'm not monitoring this one at all. Like I have actually never paid less attention to a situation than I have this one. Just like not even for any reason other than there's just like too. What am I supposed to do with this situation? There's like too much. What am I supposed to do? This is low on the list, honestly. It just is. Like I don't know what to tell you. That's what they want. Well, they get what they want because what am I supposed to do? Final is this. I guess we're gonna have to monitor this one. Star CZ with like unreal back and forth crash outs, and so let me see if I can figure out where this starts. Let's try to piece this together. Actually, I'm gonna get that follow back at some point. By the way, the fact he still has a board APFP is crazy. Why does it? I don't even have it muted. Why does it say that? All right, let's see. Why is CZ relevant? Because he, I don't know, created Binance. BTC OMG. Whoa. Holy fuck. Off of what? Off of what? Any announcement of anything else? What happened? Holy fuck. Now that's a fucking candle. What's up, Flood? That's a fucking candle. Wow. CC divorce news. That's insane. Zcash front ran? Wow. Ethan Prosper buyer for sure. CZ decided to put the 1 bill into BTC. That's a fucking monster of a candle. Finally, somebody in the chat says Bitcoin. Wow, it is some fucking bullshit, man. It's been so long since that happened. Wow, are we back? No. We can start to talk about getting back above this line. Above 75, 76, we could talk about being back. Until then, I don't really. It looks incredible, though. Wow. Look at Hyperliquid. Oof. Look at Hyperliquid. Oof. Look at Hyperliquid. Is Crypto Ethan actually long? It's my goat, man. I swear that's my goat. I don't even know this Twitter. Bitches be like with Poppy. Nah, ho, you with Crypto Ethan. Oh, it's so good. I can't do this drama right now. I can't do it. I can't do it. This is maybe a good story. Maybe we can cover it tomorrow. Maybe we can cover it tomorrow. I can't do this right now. I need BTC a lot higher really soon. Crypto Ethan is not Ethan Prosper, bro. Do not ever disrespect my goat like that again. Okay, we'll just do a quick market look, and then I'm out this motherfucker. Wait, how is Trump coin going up, by the way? There's the crypto event. No, not really. No. I actually was curious. No, not at all. Hype looks insane. Crazy gold flat. BTC just candling. Looks insane. What about alts? Alts. Zcash up 16% today is gross. VVV is what a candle, actually. I don't hold any of this. I'm trying to. Eric Voorhees might come on a stream soon. Monad unironically looks insane as well. That's a flood special. Monad looks nasty, bro. We're up. This looks crazy. I cannot lie. How much off the bottom? Off bottom tick. This thing is up 115%. Wow. What else do we care about? Athena up sick. Ugh. Looks so bad. Pump looks decent. You should see Moncock fine. Does it actually look good? Dude. $650K, bro. 650K. Moncock. Shout out Moncock Maxi. All right. We've had a good week, man. This was Rory Johnston actually fired me up. He actually fired me up. In kind of a bad way, because he is very adamant that he's not an alarmist, and he is alarming right now. So kind of in a bad way, but dude, we've done a lot. We've done a lot this week. Oh wait, I want to watch this. CZ clip.
You're thinking about the risk of quantum computing to the cryptocurrency ecosystem broadly?
I think there's some risk, but I think overall, though, any technology improvement is always going to be good. More computing power is good for crypto. So quantum may break the existing encryption mechanisms, but with quantum computing, there's probably there will be new encryption algorithms. There are already quantum-proof encryption algorithms that quantum computers do not have an advantage to crack. So we just need to upgrade the protocol to use those encryption mechanisms. Also, more computing power with quantum, there's probably newer encryption mechanisms we have not even thought about that we can use quantum to encrypt, and decryption is always going to be much harder.
Anything else? Like anything that we like, I don't know, care about? No. Let's see, like if I go like this. CZ. Damn, they're really going at it, dude. I'm gonna have to flesh this out tomorrow and like give you a proper story timeline on this. I didn't realize it was deeper than a divorce. They're like really going after it. Store on Binance. I typically ignore all these false claim attacks, but you can apologize now. I'm officially divorced. I won't post any legal docs online as I respect the privacy of my ex-wife, and I appreciate the time we spent together. I'm happy to bet 1 billion USD or any number you choose that I'm officially divorced way before today. 1 billion. If you agree to take the bet, we could get lawyers to validate my divorce agreement, which should be dead simple. Brother, 1 billion. This bet offer is valid prematurely whenever you feel ready, but if you don't take it within 24 hours, it clearly shows who has been misrepresenting to the public. If he could produce a divorce agreement signed by both parties as of today, I will immediately issue a public apology. If he cannot, yet claims in the media and in his book that he is already divorced, then that is a clear misrepresentation to the public. Yet another example of him making such claims with confidence. If the richest man can produce a divorce agreement up to today that has been signed and confirmed by both parties, I will immediately issue a public apology. If he could not produce such an agreement, yet claims in the media, we just read the same thing twice. 1 billion, brother. Wait, what is this link? Please don't be some dumb shit. Please don't be some dumb shit. Please don't be some dumb shit. You guys are probably all wondering why Zhu only goes after CZ and never picks on Big Sis, because the affection he keeps buried in his heart is real. Let me casually spill some gossip I overheard at a drinking session. It came from a high-up executive some exchange, but I won't name names here. Back when Big Sis, what's Big Sis? Was at OKX. She had a thing for her, but then CZ joined OKX. What am I reading? With his height and killer English skills, Big Sis's first crush ended up being CZ. Poor Jew. And who is this? Was a bit shorter and not as smooth with the language. So in the end, CZ won her heart. Gotta say, deep feeling classy guy no matter the situation. And he never takes the media platforms to bash Big Sis. Maybe Big Sis is the one regret he'll carry for life. But a woman with that kind of grace and warmth totally deserves to be loved. I like her too. So this is like over. It's over a girl. Are you licking again? Okay. Who is this? I don't honestly. I have no idea what's going on. I don't feel qualified to like. Where did this start here? CZ Cousins talked the story of selling a house to buy Bitcoin. What's the full truth behind it? Where did the down payment for that house originally come from, and whose house was actually sold? When using the story to portray himself as a visionary and repeatedly showcasing it as an achievement, did he ever consider the feelings of his wife's parents, who supported their daughter and son-in-law back then and are now elderly? Damn, what the fuck was that, man? This is straight up from Moose Campbell. There are many things I've never disclosed publicly. In fact, I've never even wanted to revisit them. Taking advantage of someone's misfortune or using private life for moral attacks has never been my principle. If it weren't for that book full of falsehoods dragging me into this, I would have never brought up these old matters again. Be honest, you think he read the book or no? Like in full? The world's richest man keeps telling the story of selling the house to buy Bitcoin on the tip of his tongue all day long. What is the real truth? Oh, we just read that. He keeps tweeting the same thing multiple times. But he keeps calling him the richest man. That's his lifetime up. Holy shit. Damn, I know CZ used to work at OKX, but I don't know about like the beef. Wow. That's his lifetime op? CZ's the richest person on earth. Whoa. CZ's the richest person on earth. CZ used to work at OKX and slimed him out and took his check. Wow. This is like a crazy Titan on Titan battle, by the way. And then they made Binance and killed OKX for a while. Then started issues with the CCP. CZ is the richest person on earth. What does Google say? I know it's wrong, but 100 billion. So CZ, OKX got really stuck for a second and had to have Redacted bail them out. I've noticed revising this old. He's been deliberately vague about his marital status. At times saying they are separated, at times suggesting they are divorced. So what is the actual situation? Did the divorce happen after his release? If they are indeed divorced, was his stake in Binance properly divided in accordance with the law? This is not only a legal matter, but also a question of basic moral responsibility and integrity as a husband. Figures like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates both followed legal procedures to divide assets with their spouses during their divorces. Binance had consistently made $15 billion a year in revenue for 7 years. Wow. Damn, I wanted to see this picture. Fuck. Oh, here's the picture. Is this it? I don't know what star looks like. This is star. How much of the Tether supply never moves? Why not? Because CZ owns it. Wow. Damn, this is 1 million views. This is star. Wow, so he was not tweeting that much at all. Holy fuck. Damn. We have some fucking rabbit holes to go down, I suppose. Maybe we'll start tomorrow's stream with it. At the meantime, I'm going to drive myself absolutely nuts over this oil chart. It's all of a girl back when CZ and Star worked together. Who is the CEO of Binance currently? Are you still long oil? Yeah, and I'm miserable. Okay, X rhymes with FTX. Bruh. Wait. Who gives a fuck about CZ and his girl? I mean, I do. I don't know. I do. I didn't, but now I do. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm invested. I mean, I obviously give a fuck. What? Are you kidding me? A love story? Also, he's the richest man on the fucking planet. Getting called out by another, like, insane rich guy. Oil's moving insane right now? Not really, brother. It's just the, like, I want to die pattern. It's not doing that much. It's the I want to die. Oil's pumping crazy right now. No, brother. No, it's not. What are you talking about? First chatter. Of course. First fucking chatter. All right, guys. I'm fucking tired. It's been a sick week. I gotta go. I'm getting off. Shout out to Rory Johnston. And we had Merp on. We've had a fucking sick week. Tomorrow's gonna be Friday. Friday chill stream. We had a pretty good hour and a half. Then we deteriorated after Rory. But sick stream. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to cover. I'll be in a Telegram today. I'll be doing my thing. Tomorrow's going to be a Friday stream, and I'm not going to lie. I'm getting off on the dot tomorrow because I'm going to go fucking rip. Friday night, you already know what we do. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Rory was a lot of fun. I enjoyed him. Give him some love on Twitter. Go give him some love. Go tell him fucking threadguy stream was a movie. Go tell him. Go give him some love. Yeah, I don't know. We have a lot going on. It seems like it's going to be a crazy weekend, and it's going to be another good one tomorrow. So I'm out. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Seems like we got some drama to cover tomorrow. Nothing better than it. Thank y'all for pulling up. Thank y'all for supporting. I'll catch you when I catch you. I'll see you when I see you. Have a great rest of your day. I love you, motherfuckers. Peace.